Welcome back to a film club special, but returning to what me and Sandy kind of started with is the recommendations of our top 10s. And we've jumped a couple on my list. So we've gone straight to the good one. We've gone straight to war movies. I'm excited, Sandy. You?
I'm really excited. I think we said that we had to probably do war films first before we did history, because it's really two different categories. And as I've dived into war films, I found there are so many different categories within war films. But chat, we're going to try to keep this under 12 hours. But I got a big bottle of Pepsi here, so I'm good to go. I'm good to go.
I know. I actually did have a coffee quite late. I was like, you know what? I might have to have a coffee quite late. I just like, and then like a girlfriend is like, is this going to be a good one? And I was like, yeah, I think it's good. I can see this taking off, and a couple of the films, I think, and the subject matters. I think this is going to go good. So if anybody doesn't remember, the structure of this is going to be slightly different to our normal film club. So I've picked 10 that Sandy doesn't know about, and Sandy's picked 10. Now, what we did, and I think it was biography, wasn't it? Biography first. And
we did biography, and then we did fantasy.
Yeah, but in the first biography one, of course, and we both got the same pick for the first one.
The very first one, A Man for All Seasons. A Man for All Seasons.
So we should have 20. I'm gonna go for we've got 5 the same. If I'm that, definitely 3. So I think we're gonna cut it down. But the rules are kind of thing. I will go first, as we discussed that. Then Sandy's gonna drop into the private chat. What we got in the back is her next pick, and it's gonna alternate like that. So it's gonna be fun of which ones are which. Now I always just do mine in alphabetical order. So that's it. But I think there's gonna be it's going to be good like that. And I've done it. This is different because I'm recommendations. What I've done is the ones I enjoy. So there are ones going to be on the list that are obvious. I think that's the way of things. But then I had such a big list, and I was like, which ones do I enjoy watching the most? And I actually really, you can sit down, and you don't mind if it's on. There's ones on there, there's classics and you really like it, but then you go, oh, I like watching it, but I watch it every 5 years. And then these ones that are on my list, I was like, I really could just sit down anytime and watch that. And that's a good movie. I think everyone on my list is, historically we'll talk about, I suppose, on that. And I think you can some of the inaccuracies and all accuracies we'll talk about on that. So we're gonna have a bit of fun. But yes, so Daryl, hello, welcome. Reckless Wolf, Abel, always. Yes, we're gonna have a bit of fun. So Sandy, before we kick off, any final thoughts, or should we just go for it?
Well, you're right. I mean, these are the films. This was hard. This was extraordinarily hard to look at, the whole gamut of war films. And it was tough for me, to first start. Well, am I looking at the best? Am I looking at the most historically accurate? Am I also trying to cover different wars and not lean all into one particular war, which seems to have 10 times as many films as any other war? But at the end of the day, these are the ones I like. These are the ones that, same thing. If it's on, I will watch it. I will watch it again and again and again. And let's go.
Should we do it? Let's
do it.
Let's do it. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. This is going to be it. So my first pick is, I'm guessing it's Hollywood British, I suppose, like that. And I've got a couple on my list that I realise are, it went wrong. Let's say that. There's not like
Uh-huh.
and this is A Bridge Too Far. So this is called Richard Attenborough, starring Sir Michael Caine, Sean Connery, all the sirs are in it. Yeah, I this is I think this kind of bombed at the cinema. I don't think it did that well. I think there's a couple around this period, but I think this movie, it's one of those ones I can watch. It's very, of course, Operation Market Garden. It is all, but the Allies are trying to get early on to finish the war by paratroopers and all that over into the Netherlands, trying to take all the bridges, and it goes completely too much. And it is like they get to the one bridge, and it's just too much. Yeah, they underestimated the German defenses and their organization skills, and it just went a bit wrong. And I adore this movie. I think it's got a great cast. The cast is great on it. Yeah, I think a lot of people said it was a bit too long-winded, but I think it's great. Like Attenborough, I think he's really good into it. You've got
Gene Hackman's in there too,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
So having
oh yes.
having just passed, this was
Mm.
on my honorable mention list.
Okay.
Um, but it came up for me a few weeks ago when Gene Hackman passed away,
Mm.
and I was looking at all the films that I had forgotten he was in,
Ah,
and
yeah.
he's in this one too. Now, talk to me about Sean Connery in this film, because I am hot and cold on his acting. I love him or hate him at this point. Like,
He's lucky because he's not a, I suppose, on the ground person on
yeah.
this. He's one of the commanders. You have Anthony Hopkins in this, who's really great. Really looks really young. He's one of the forward things, but I think, yeah, Sean Connery, he plays a very stern yes officer like that. So he plays it kind of like deadpan. I think he plays it like kind of well, like um um Michael Caine, I think, is
Michael
great in
Caine.
this. Like, yeah, so but yeah, I think Anthony Hopkins probably steals it just because of
Mhm.
the defend to the last man kind of the bridge moment. And yeah, so like, and he's got his uh, umbrella or brolly, what you ever call it, like that, and he's like, it's quite good. I think that's great, but I think it's just like, it shows like like you get a lot of war movies where everything goes right, and this one, it's everything goes right then wrong, but I think it's good because it's not overly bloody. This is like, when was this, like 670s or something?
1977. It's late
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah. So it doesn't need to be bloody. Like, you have them dropping in like all the, the British and the Americans and all that dropping in, and it's like, overshot, undershot, all in the wrong place. I just think it's a good tale of um a good Second World War movie that isn't, a Normandy, I suppose, like that. So that's
Mhm.
why I kind of like it. But it's one of those, like, it's very, even though it has like a mixture of American cast and British cast, it feels like a British movie. It feels like how it's shot. It's like a one of those Sunday matinee movies that you can
Mhm.
watch. That you could watch with your granddad, I suppose, like that back in,
And I
like,
did.
yeah,
That's why it's on
yeah,
my list, because
yeah.
I don't remember much about this film
Mm,
except watching it with my granddad on those Memorial Day weekends when it was just, like, war movie after war movie. And what I remember about this, yeah, I remember Anthony Hopkins. I remember, oh, who's in the, just for a smidge? Sir Laurence Olivier's in this, right?
mhm.
Just
Yes,
for a
he's another
minute.
one of the commander. Yeah, just not for long.
Um,
Um,
but but when I'm looking here, I don't think it had a wide release in the United States because
mm,
it won BAFTAs, but it wasn't even nominated for any Oscars, even for the technical awards, because it won the technical awards for the, um, what is it? Sound. Oh, it won Best
it,
Supporting Actors for Ed Fox. It won music and cinematography.
Yeah, the music is epic. They're like it's really like
Yeah.
dramatized, you know, like that. But it's got like you would think that because it's got James Caan in it. He's in it like as like like he the kind of rebel soldier and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Like yeah, it's yeah. Why wouldn't it do well? But like that's to see the longest day come up there. That didn't do that well. It got like everybody like don't like that, you know. But that had every star in it, didn't it? So this is one where
Mhm.
you do have a great, you know, of stars. I just think I think it's good. Like, you know, like you have the different stories. You have like, you know, you see it from the kind of a little bit from the German perspective, but then I like how on this one you see it from, you know, especially like the longest day, I suppose, and things you have the two different um, um the American aspect and the British aspect and like,
Mhm.
but it's all about going down the roads and like, you know, clear the roads. And I can't remember the actor's name who's like the engineer, the American engineer who's like got the big cigar in it. He's like trying to get the engineers to get the, you know, the bridges, and he's got the British are doing the bridges, and he's like, come on, just bloody do it, and it's like that, and it's got the comedic value of that, but it's got the back of you know, the commanders are like, oh no, this is completely going wrong. Yeah, and it's, yeah, they just didn't think. And I think it's like one of those historical ones where the intelligence was good until the last days, where they didn't realize one of the Panzer divisions had moved completely
Mhm.
around and swung around the dikes, I suppose you want to call it, in the Netherlands. And they were perceived like they were hidden, and they didn't realize they were actually just down the road from where everybody's landing. So it is, but yeah, it's one of those where you get like those modern ones where, you know, any paratrooper probably understands you don't want to overshoot your target, and they all did. And that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a dead of night, let's go in, and uh, the bogs and the marshes of the Netherlands. Yeah, it didn't do well, but yeah, I think this is one that I think it's I do like it. I've like it's one I just sit down for. It's like one of those.
Yeah.
It's a classic watch, I
It's
suppose you want to call
comfort
it.
food. It is.
Yes, it is.
Because
So
you remember who you might have watched it with in the past. One of my problems with a lot of World War II films now is getting stuck in the historical accuracy and comparing to the Band of Brothers television series, which I just
mhm.
think is superb. And of course, this is a very important part of the Band of Brothers series. So, you know, kind of being overly critical about this versus how they shot it in Band of Brothers, but it's okay. Like you just have to separate that. Um, I do like the overall, I like the acting. And I do, to your point, I do like seeing the differences between the British and the Americans because in some films it's over exaggerated or under exaggerated, but there really was a class system in your military, very similar to, you know, we have a rank system that is not based on class.
Mm.
You know, the rich boys didn't all go in it was a little slightly more egalitarian, but the British units were not. And it's interesting to see that. You know, it's interesting to see all the commanders being quite posh. And in America, you'll get that mix of commanders being, as we'll see in other films, you know, downright, you know, quite rude and quite rough around the edges, no
Mhm.
different than the rest of the command. So,
Yeah, I think
I
it's
do, I
different.
like
Like
this one.
I think it's like because the Navy has their spot in the British, and then you have the Army, and a lot of the if you get to a certain rank, and unless you're in the upper establishment, you don't advance like that. So it's different. So you have to have like, you know, your background's got to fit to the certain chord. I think it's different with the Royal Air Force because like the officers, you're skill based. There's not much of
Yeah.
the yeah, you have to have the right name.
No need
Let's
for
say, don't know.
Oxbridge to get
Yeah.
promoted.
Excellent. So yeah, so there you go. A bridge too
Nice
far.
one.
There we go. So I see your one. Now let's say this is Sandy's first pick. It's Sandy.
This is a mix of fun. This is drama. this is such an entertaining film. This is The Dirty Dozen. And if you haven't seen The Dirty Dozen, this is one I can watch it. I watch it every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day. Great story, great characters. This is a story of, 12 plus a few others, 12-ish. But and sometimes when you have films that have so many important characters, you get them confused, right? Especially when they're all wearing the same uniform. Here, these are 12 very different men. And right away, you know who each one is. They each have their own quirks, they each have their own specialties, which will become important for the mission they're selected to perform. Now, these guys are, shall we say, these are the miscreants of the army. They're all in jail. They're all actually on death row for the severe transgressions that they have committed while in the army. But Lee Marvin, who's the commander, there's a very, very important mission that has, I guess, they didn't seek it out. It's a fortuitous situation where a number of German military commanders are all going to be in a specific chateau on a specific day, and they have a very short amount of time, just a few weeks, to prepare to attack this chateau and wipe out as much of the German military command as they can. And so they craft a plan. It's incredibly precise. Every man has a part in it. In fact, they create a rhyme to remember where they're supposed to be. And throughout the adventure, um, they learn to rely on each other, of course. They learn to somewhat respect the commander that they absolutely hated to begin with. I won't spoil I have to kind of spoil the ending a little bit.
You
Not
do.
everyone survives. We begin with a dozen and we end with a handful. But what a great film. Action, acting, really good writing, kind of funny in places.
I could say
Um,
the first part I would say is a comedy satire kind of
it is.
moments like that, like him, uh, like Lee Marvin, can't remember his character's name, trying to get like to enroll them. Like, let's say it's very
Yeah.
comedic, like, then you got like, of course, Charles Bronson and all the rest are just like, you got some oddballs and like that, and then and then what is it? One of the sergeants comes over and they're like, got a clean shave and all that, and it's yeah,
What is
it's
so great
it's
is,
yeah, it's a bit fun. It's a bit funny, and then of course, then it gets to the serious.
yeah, I mean,
Mm,
they find their common enemy. They know who their enemy, I mean,
mm,
ultimately is. But they also find a foil in the one of the it's not a major, colonel, someone who doesn't really think, General
mm,
Denton, I think it is, who just doesn't think that this is going to work and didn't want to um, even, consider this plan. This mission's too important to leave to a bunch of, uh, criminals. And so they staged this war game, and these guys overtake the real soldiers very quickly and deceitfully. And the observer, who is played by George Kennedy, who's in a lot of these. By the way, this cast, these are guys who you find in so many war films because many of them served in World War II. So you've got Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, George Kennedy, Ernest Borgnine, Telly Savalas. I can keep going. Many of them served in the war. So you see them in a lot of these films and probably multiples of the ones that we've chosen here. But during this war games, like the observer, George Kennedy just starts laughing, and then Ernest Borgnine just starts like even the generals who don't think they can do it, they're kind of realizing that, well, these guys have some skills here, and you've just now beaten, quote, the real soldiers. And of course there are complaints. Well, they they switched their armbands, they cheated. That's war. They
yeah.
proved that they have what it takes to complete this mission. What's also great, I do like, and I don't know how others feel about this, but I do like how they portray the Germans, and they do use, um, they're speaking in German.
Mm.
They're using subtitles. Even the Americans are speaking in German from time to time, and then of course they switch to American, to English. Sorry, they switch to English. But I like that. I think they did it well. It wasn't your typical, because what we tend to find is the German accent is really, and somewhere along the line, British actors playing Germans just became a thing, and the British
Yeah.
baddie German accent. Um, but I like how that's portrayed. I really like the final set piece when they carry out the plan. It doesn't go to plan, but it goes as best as they can hope. They achieve their mission, but not everyone came home, and that's why they were selected. They were expendable. They were on death row anyway. If they survived, they would get their sentences commuted. If they died, oh well, you were going to die anyway. So, but they all came together and they all did their part. And I just love this film. Although the ending's not the good ending, it it's as feel good as you can get, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not. I suppose depending on what else you got on list, it's not a. I suppose accurate. I suppose you want to like historical.
No,
It's just a fun adventure that could happen. Like
well,
this.
it's
This
based on a
could
book.
yeah.
It is based on a book called The Dirty Dozen about a unit called the Filthy
Mm,
13, not the Dirty Dozen, who were criminals who were rounded up to do certain missions. Not
mm,
this mission, though. This was a
yeah.
fictional mission. Um, but I did do little historical accuracy scores here, and I gave it a B minus.
Okay.
So, although the event itself did not happen, they portrayed the idea of taking criminals and giving them, the dirty jobs to do.
Yeah.
That was true. Hey, Jay. Hello,
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Hello, everyone.
joining.
It feels weird to be on this side of film club. You'll be back. You'll be back. But we're very, very celebrated for you. Let's say that.
Yay, Jay, we
Yeah.
could still be talking about war films in a few weeks. When you're ready to come back, we might still be here streaming. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Everybody, give Jay a clap. Well,
We need an
his wife.
emoji. Which emoji we're gonna use?
I don't know.
The little
Uh,
cry baby.
yeah. I actually do have a crybaby one, I think, on that. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I said, this is a fun movie.
It is.
Yeah, it's not, it wasn't in my even honorable mentions list.
Aw,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'd like it. I like it. I said, it's a fun one. Yeah. When I go for war movies, it's not one I go for. If this was like, if you had a subcategory, war adventure, I
mhm.
would put it into that. I would have
War
to say,
caper. It's like a
yeah,
caper
war caper,
almost.
yeah, because I say the first bit is kind of like MASH.
Yeah.
They're kind of like that kind of thing, and then it gets into, of course, the serious. But yeah, I like this movie. Yeah, I do like this movie. If I had to give it, it's gonna be like a 6 for me, 6 out of 10, like that.
Mhm.
But there's one of those ones. It's easy to watch. It's entertaining to watch, and I think
Mhm.
that's a good. You don't need all of them. To be a hard hitting historical accuracy. It's just yeah. But this. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
I also think it's one that, because my granddad really liked it, I tend
Mm,
to think like veterans probably like this film. And
yeah.
veterans really like Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, Ernest Borgnine, that whole crew that kind of represented them because they did serve.
Mm,
And so I think that's part of my sentimentality for that as well.
mm. There you go. As Jay's announced it as well. Yay! Yay! So now Jay's not getting any sleep. So that's it. So that's done.
Don't
But
worry,
yeah.
I told you it's like 18 more years and I'm still, yeah. Mhm.
But excellent. So
All right.
any other notes on that, or should we go on to
No.
the next one? Now, before I go on to the next one, let's see. Let's see how good your historical knowledge of this one quote that came from the real events that
Oh,
this
heavens.
movie betrays,
Oh, good
and it's
grief.
from Yeah, no, you probably see it. You be a historian. So this is a very famous poem quote, like a well-known line, I suppose, from Lord Tennyson. Ours is not to reason wise, ours is but to do and die. A very famous poem.
Yeah, I've
So
heard the
this,
quote. I don't know what it refers to.
the charge
Charge of the Light
of the
Brigade.
Light Brigade, a complete and utter, probably the top military blunders of all time.
Oh,
An
wow, okay.
absolute cock up. Have you seen this?
No, no, I
Ah,
haven't.
okay.
I've heard of the Charge of the Light Brigade. I had no idea what it
Ah,
is.
so this is 19. There's one with Errol Flynn. Don't watch that one.
Okay.
I don't know why Errol Flynn did a Charge of the Light Brigade. This is the 1968 version. I think Vanessa Redgrave is probably the female main star in it, and it's kind of a love story about, going to war. It's the Crimean War, if anybody doesn't know where that is. So it's 1850s, 1852 to 56, I think, something like that. This is a just getting to this one battle, and it is what you've just said earlier. It's about the prim and proper of the establishment of that night, like 19th century kind of upper class. We know what we're doing still, like that. Like, you think, like, what 10 years later is the American Civil War in this, but in real time. But this is still, oh, hello gentlemen, let's go for war, jolly good, kind of. You
What
have the
time?
officers, yes, what
Don't
time?
shoot before the appropriate time.
Yeah, we need our tea first and all that. We can't have, don't disturb me, I'm having my tea and crumpets kind of job. And that's really the story of everybody. We're having an adventure kind of thing. All this the upland, higher middle class, I suppose, to make it a modern day relevant, is they all go off to fight the Russians, and of course the blunder of the upper snobs of the military completely get it wrong, revolving around multiple aspects of people, that we have this love story that they go back and forth to, like, show back home, and then the adventure of going to war, and then the Light Brigade getting sent into the Valley of Death. This is where that quote comes from, that they actually went in 3,000 light horseback, stormed the full guns down in a valley of the full Russian artillery, and everybody
Well,
died.
that's not very smart tactically.
No, it was completely
Shooting
wrong.
gallery.
What it was, there was two valleys. It was a pivot like that, I suppose you want to call it. Don't go. They said to go whatever right or whatever, in the best terms, and they should have gone the other way. It was a commander's wrong. They got it completely wrong. They gave the order, and of course everybody obeyed the order, even though they had the everybody going, that's the wrong way, but the orders kept on coming in that they had to take that one, but that's where the guns were. And it's completely, it's a Blackadder moment, I suppose, like that. Let's say that, where they all charge to their death. That is it. So it's a very somber, meaningful. It's good, like, you have the love story, but it's you betraying that you know your history, that this, the people in the Light Brigade are all going to their death, and they're all, all 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, all falling in love on their first adventure, and it's just because of a couple of idiots who are high up in the command unit have gone, go, and they won't change their mind because we're right and we're having our cup of tea. So it's good, but like the sets, like the actual for this is 1968, the sets in it are really good, like just everybody on horseback. It was like, quite a big production to get, like, to make it feel right, that kind of European warfare, where it's still, I suppose, lines up, everybody lines, that's attacked. And unfortunately, this period of time, it's where the armory, I suppose, like the weapons, got too much advanced to do the older warfare. I think this like kind of shows that as well. That turn of tide is like, you know, there's no more muskets. The artillery are now coming precise. You know, the it's it's now rifles that can be loaded and shot very fast, and artillery that will destroy anything that comes near it. And of course, horseback. It's literally
Yeah.
you actually think now like you I think this is probably one of the last proper campaigns where they were like, yes, we're still use horses to attack.
Well, there's that famous
Yeah.
defeat by the Polish army,
Mm,
you know, where the Polish hussars, um, you know, who are still proudly fighting on horseback in World War II. And
mm,
it didn't end well. It just did not end well, but they charged proudly to their final hurrah, but yikes, that wasn't good. I'll have to look this one up. I know I've
yeah.
heard of the poem and heard of, you know, the Crimea War, but because we study over here, like it comes up when we're talking about like advances in military history, advances in medical, you know, because that's when
Yeah.
the medical improvements were being advanced by Florence Nightingale and her crew. Um, but that's really all I know about that because again, so we just don't learn world history here
Mm.
unless you're really focused on that and you elect that in college. But I'll have to check that out. It's on my list now.
Yeah, I think this is one. I don't think we get taught this in the Crimea War. I think it's one that they skip over. I think it's like that kind of 19th century war. They get a little bit of the Boer Wars and stuff like that. But
But
that
it is where the
19th
Victoria
century,
Cross comes from, because
yeah.
I know that because I've been to the Imperial War Museum and I saw that the Victoria Cross is made from cannon seized during the Crimea War or something
Yeah,
to that effect, and I remember
yeah.
that.
But we don't really go into much. I think this is the major one that everybody probably has heard to because it's probably the biggest military blunder for a modern army and
Wow.
for the British to lose that many men that quick. And it was you're on about, I think it was, if I remember, it was like less than 5 minutes, 3,000
Oof.
just literally just running in and like that. And there was betrays like, and the Russians, as documentation, they just didn't understand what they were doing, so they didn't fire until right to the end
Oh
because their
gosh.
commanders didn't understand what they were doing because like
Wow.
you're just against cannon. You're just gonna like that. So it wasn't like an easy pick off. They really didn't think they were gonna get to keep on charging. So yeah, it was just a you hear it, especially like, you know, uh, I'll say German veterans from the Second World War when they opened up on the beaches and just had to close their eyes. You know, like it was
Mhm.
some of it was terrible, but you can understand. Yeah, like that. It's just like, what are they doing? Yeah, it's a good watch. I'd say it's got like a bit of romance onto it, but it's about me more about the establishment. Is one of those that gets
Yeah.
you a bit annoyed, it's like that. But yeah, but your so we're going on to your next one. No, your next one was, it was there. It was gonna make it. It was gonna make it. So it was gonna be one of my honorable mentions because, and I picked the other one, not the modern one, but the other one
Well, we're
might be
gonna
on
talk
your
about
list.
the category of this. This is a film that
Yeah,
I think we have to talk about all versions in order to really talk about the film for, you
yeah.
know,
So
so
this is Sandy. It is the 1930s version of.
All Quiet on the Western Front. And, so for a lot of reasons. So when I told James I was excited, I was gonna rewatch a whole bunch of films. Yes, 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 based on the book by Edward Maria Remarque. Book was written in
So this is really,
1929.
really
Does
old
that
one.
does
This
that
one,
look
this is
what
really.
what's the copyright on that?
Oh,
What's the
this
date
I have to
on that
look.
one?
Go on, you talk things. I
So
have to
the
look.
original book was built in built written in 1929. Um,
This is a. Oh, let's have a look. Go on, keep talking about the movie, and
my
I'll
gosh,
find
do you
out.
have a first edition? Do you have a first
I don't
edition?
know. It just said
You're
first published in 1929, and yeah, so yeah, but this is a reprint. Oh, this is the reprinted version in August 1929. So this is so the first
Good.
one was the German one in
Yes,
1929. The first English version was March 1929. This
and
is
you
the
got in
August
August.
version. Yeah. So
James, I'm jealous. Nice. I've already put that on my list to track down. I keep having to buy first editions from all of our film clubs. I'm coming up with a Oh, and I wanted to say, so as I was going through some of the books that I do have, I don't have this one. You know how when
do you want to send it in the post?
No, no, no. You know how
I'm
when your
kidding.
bookshelf is
Yeah.
so packed that when you take a few things off your bookshelf, the shelf on top of it completely collapses?
Oh yes.
This is what has
That happened.
happened.
Oh.
The thing was so jammed that when I didn't real and the whole thing, so yeah, we've had a little minor adjustment needs to be made. But so in preparation, I wanted to watch all 3. So there's the
Okay.
1930 version. There's a 1979 made for television film and the 20, what is it? 2012?
22. 22.
2022. Sorry,
2022. Yeah, it's quite,
2022.
yeah, it's not that old, is it? It did well in the Academy Awards,
It
isn't it? I think,
did.
yeah,
And
BAFTA, sorry.
so there's a lot of great conversation. Hey, Klisu, there's a lot of great
Hey,
conversation
Clissy.
around the fact that sometimes when you have a remake, one is clearly bad and one is clearly good. All 3 of these versions are very solid for very different reasons. So the more recent version, the 2022 version, there's a and you can find it now on IMDb. There's a film that does some side by side of some key moments in all 3 films and how much care was taken to really keep the original, um, just from, how a character looks, where he's standing, they did side by side scenes,
Mm.
and it's so true to the original in many respects that they're really good. So I did watch all 3, but this is the one, and this is the one for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
Number
I
1.
completely agree. I like the 2020 version. It's missing something, and I
Yep.
think this is why that one wasn't even on my list. This was, and I mean, it was like
Yeah.
number 11. So
Yeah.
it was just shy. I was like, do I do it? Do I do it? But yeah, but this is like, it's
2022.
weird because this is like a German but English language like that.
It
I
is
always forget that.
with a lot of British
Yeah.
accents going on there. So the book was written by Edward Maria Remarque, who was a German soldier in World War One and deeply affected by the fact that these young boys were being recruited into something. And remember, this is World War One, so we're not into the World War Two
The
issues.
Kaiser.
This is the Kaiser. This is the German nationalism. This is, you're seeing inside classrooms and how the teachers are talking up, riling up these students, getting them excited about going into war. And then you go into war and then you're changed forever. And while that is, and that, one of the big differences, I think the 2022 film actually plays more on the psychological piece, but the 1930 film, number one, I want to say this is 1930. This is almost 100. When we're talking about films now, and we've already talked about one in one of our film clubs that was 100 years old. We're talking about 100 years ago. This is early filmmaking. And so sometimes I look at some of these quote black and white films and forget this is not a 1948 film or a 1951 film. This is 1930. So for all that they accomplished, particularly in the fighting scenes, the explosions. Yeah, they're simplified explosions.
Mm.
No, this isn't color, so you don't need all the special effects. But for what it captured, it's amazing. Now, I watched the version that was preserved by the National Film Registry here by our Library of Congress. So, spick and span version, absolutely perfect. The acting, quite good. What this film really does, it shows the horrors of war. It shows everything in a very compact way. It's like a 2-hour film, but it shows young boys, and it really makes the point that these are young boys. And in a later scene, when the main character, Paul, goes back home on leave, he goes back to his old classroom, and the teacher asks him, "Hey, tell us all your great stories of war." He's already lost half his friends. Half of the friends that he enlisted with are dead and died in horrible circumstances. He's already killed a man himself. Um, he's not going to tell these boys that war is great and grand. He tells the truth. And of course, the teacher is angry at him. Well, he makes a speech and he says, "Well, all you old men, you're talking about the glories of war. You haven't been there. You haven't been there." And even their sergeant early on, who was the former postman in the neighborhood, I'm signing up, but he was always in the back. He was always, to your point about Blackadder goes forth in Melt, to quote Melchett, "We'll be right behind you." And then Blackadder says, "Yeah, 30 miles behind us," which is exactly what happened. And in the one time when the sergeant was thrown into battle, he literally cut his finger and started screaming and fainted. I'm injured. I'm injured. His finger was cut. We're watching other, soldiers losing limbs. Um, this humanizes war very quickly. The part of Paul played by Lou Ayres, who, when I saw that name, I said, "Where have I seen that name before?" Oh, holy moly, have we seen this name. Lou Ayres has been a television and film character actor from 1929 when he had his first role until I think 2012 when he died, or I'm sorry, 1996 when he died.
Yeah.
And he was on films. This was probably his only leading role. And what a wonderful leading role it was. But then he was in a lot of films as like background actor. But on television, he had a role on that's where I knew the name, Battlestar Galactica, because I am a Battlestar Galactica expert. And he played the president of one of the colonies in like 2 episodes of Battlestar Galactica. He had a bit part in like Fantasy Island and The Love Boat, and he was in the background on in one of the Omen, the Damien Omen 2 movie. Anyway, but he's one of those ones that is always there. Like you'll see his filmography was so long, his sheet, and he worked until he was 89 years old, this guy. But I can't recommend this enough. This is not a black and white film that's hard to watch. Yeah, the accents throw you. It's British people doing German accents. What are you gonna do? And I think I might have IM'd you, or maybe I was just thinking it. This is probably the film that started the baddie German British person playing the baddie German. Because that's what happened. But you see so much about this particular soldier and his friends and how they change through the course of the war. And it's not that long, it's a few short years, but what the war's done to him. And in the scene where he does stab a man, an enemy, and then immediately regrets it, and then tries to help him because they're stuck in a ditch during a bombardment. And he tries so hard to help him, and he's dead. But he keeps trying to give him water. He knows he's dead. He keeps talking to him. He feels bad. He keeps asking for his forgiveness, asking for his forgiveness. It really gets you. It certainly gets you. This book was probably for its time quite groundbreaking, especially for a German to, not take up the cause between the wars, right? Because World War I, as we kind of study history today, World War I and World War II should be studied together. They shouldn't be separate, because the consequences of the ending of World War I helped to lead to World War II. So it must have been incredibly difficult for him to publish this book. All credit to Mr. Lamarck for writing this book, Remarque. And I think, like, if you look at like possibly the first good war movie, this is probably the first good war movie, 1930.
Yeah, 30s, yeah. And this is why I think this is the better one. Like, you got the 2022 one is, it looks better, but this feels real. That makes sense. So like that, but
Yeah.
I must say, like, it picked up quite quick then. 1929 to 1930, this was made.
Yep.
that's a quick turnaround. But yeah, especially to make it, if you actually think about it, at the time, it would be unpopular to do on from
Very.
that point aside, like the German point of view, to do that. But I adore this movie. It's very deep. It's very, I think, where the other one kind of it makes it look a bit. It looks good and it looks pretty as a movie. This one, I think, nails home the aspect of the youth, I suppose you're going to call them
Yes.
that, because they're all like 18 or like go into the trenches,
Yeah.
and a warfare, that things, and the actual, the how horrid it actually was for these ones, and they, go there as a young man, come back as an old man if they were lucky to. That was it. So yeah,
One more thing I wanted to share about Lou Ayres, I forgot this note here, that during the Vietnam conflict, he was a vocal, conscientious objector that may have also limited his future roles in Hollywood, because he had also played Dr. Kildare, which was not a sitcom, but a series here, a pretty successful series here in the United States. So that was kind of a really big role for him to have the lead role. But then after that, it became all these little bit parts in the background. But it was because he was vocal about being anti-war. And I wonder if even the experience of playing this character helped to shape that for him.
Maybe. But yeah, I say it like that. Sorry, Jay, the 22 version, yeah, it's good. It's a good watch.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good watch.
It's a good watch. I think this is the better movie. And that's it. Like, you actually go by the things. That one I watched once and I enjoyed it. I wouldn't go back to watch that version, but this version I would put it on. That's the difference. I think that's what makes it. I think this is a very strong hitting movie. It's not like it's not dark hitting, I suppose, like that. Like it makes you, like, you get the emotional, the ones that get you kind of in depth, and you're like, oh, that was a hard watch just because it was emotional. I just think the realism of it was literally nailed on the head. Like, they just did everything right. And yeah, okay, you got the English language and everybody, but a lot of Brits playing the main roles, but yeah, I'm guessing it led to good like acting like that, because a lot of it is, you got that stage element, that are coming through. It's good. It's good. And yeah, I say it does feel right when you read that. It does feel
nice.
It's when it does match it. And I think that's where the other one's a bit more dramatized because of modern. I think this one it fights. So yeah, this was like, for mine, this was literally my first honorable mention. It was one of the ones I was like, do I? And it pivoted, and it just pivoted
There
out.
are so many, it's hard. Now, this did win Best Picture and Best Director.
Okay.
So now, if I were to, so I'm not reading these out in rank order. I know you're going in alphabetical. I put mine in rank order, but I'm reading from the inside out. So I started in the middle with the Dirty Dozen, but this one is my number 2 all time war film. This is number 2. And I give it extra points for the historical significance, in terms of, this is 1930, like, for the historical significance as being probably the first good war film. For historical accuracy, I give this an A minus. A lot of commentators, critics, and historians have just praised this film for really hitting the experience extremely well. So this gets an A minus, and that's a high rating for me for historical accuracy. All right, what's next on your
Well, no,
list?
first I've got to tell Clesso off. Don't ever do English dub.
Oh, please, dear Lord.
I'm guessing I hope you didn't do the English dub for this version, because it's in English. But I'm guessing the 2022 version. But oh god, I never do the subtitles. Yeah,
No dubbing. No dubbing allowed.
Now this next one for me, it put on the list because, one, I watched it recently, and it was between two modern ones. Modern, I mean modern made ones, and it got in there because I was like, I really enjoyed this movie, and I was like, out of the two, at the end, if it doesn't come up, I will mention it. I just was like, you know what, I'll watch that again, and I really enjoy it. So this is the only, I would say for me, modern one, and it's Dunkirk. The one, what's it, Christopher Nolan, was it 2017 version of, he's
It's
he's
on my
epic.
list. Ding,
There we
ding,
go.
ding, ding, ding.
There we go. Our first match. I just really enjoy this. I
I
think it's
love
good
this film.
that you've got you got the aspects of the course the that one French or Belgium soldier trying to get off the beach, the British trying to get off the beach, the RAF involvement, and then of course you have the actual civilians
The
trying to
home
get
front
over.
coming in.
Yeah,
Mhm. I
trying to
love it.
get them their back. I I I loved how he shot this. I think it's
Yes,
great. Now, before we go, it's not, and I like anybody behind it. There are some historical inaccuracies. I can live with it, and I mean it
I
because
can
it's so
too.
minor. Like what's it? Tom Hardy's character is supposed to be from New Zealand, and he was inland. Okay, I can live
Yeah,
out with that.
who cares?
Yeah, I don't care. I think even how they shot it is the sequence. I think
I
that is great. Like
brilliant. You
you
get it.
see it,
A lot
and
of
then you
people
get it.
don't get it.
Yeah, and you see the sequence before it happened, then it happens again, and you're watching it from the other view. I think that's great, and I
You're
think
watching land, air, and
yeah,
sea.
mm,
The land is 1 day. The I'm sorry, the land is 1 week.
mm,
The sea is 1 day, and the air is 1 hour. And
mm.
you have to watch this film 3 times to get it.
Yeah.
The
Once you
first
get
time
it,
I
you're like,
watched it, I'm just like, "I love this film." The
mm,
second time I watched it, I took my dad,
yeah,
and I was like, "Oh my god, the guy in the air, you're just seeing an hour in his life. You're seeing a day for the guy in the boat, and you're seeing a week for the people on land." And then the third time I saw it, I really got it because there's 3 different layers. There's the command, the Kenneth Branagh, the guys
mm,
commanding. There's the regular soldiers just trying to get home, and then there's the people in the home front trying to help. So it's it's three-dimensional, just he's brilliant. Christopher I'm sorry, I've taken over here. He's
no, go for
Christopher
it.
Nolan is brilliant. So many people criticize this film, and I'm like, "You didn't watch it enough. Watch it 3 times, and you will be blown away." I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, you just literally. No, I could just sit back. It was my pick, but you had it on your one. Yeah, it was again. It was one of those like things, and you actually, it's got a bit of art aspect to it, how we shot it, but I think it works. And even to like, with I forgot what's the first Scotsman? What's his name?
Oh, I don't know their
Mark
names.
Mark
Mark
Ry,
Rylance.
not Rylance, Rylance. Is it Rylance or
Rylance
Rylance? Rylance.
and
Who's
Barry
on it, and
Keoghan.
with the two young kids, and then of course the accident happens, and like that's a whole story in itself. And then
Yes.
you see all that, and then um it's them just trying to get there to help everybody, and of course then whilst that's happening, you, they see it from the other point of view, from the RAF, of course, with their shooting down Tom Hardy's character, and the other, I can't remember, and he's running out. They make it very dramatic with, he's running out of fuel, but he's not going to leave them behind, and that happened, but in a different situation in real life. So I think the real life element to this is really good because it shows as well. If nobody knows the historical, I think you need to know it, because this
You
is
do.
literally it was let's be honest, the French put us in the shit,
Yeah.
literally. This was the you know um this to happen, and then what's going to happen, and it was to the point was it was we had to defend, and I think even Kenneth Branagh, doesn't he mentions it, we can't bring all the ships out because we need to defend England. We're the last
Yep.
hope in Europe. So to get everybody over back, we have to do it in stages. And yeah, and it's it's a it's really intense, like you have that moments onto there. And it yeah, I think everybody acting in it is great. I think they play even the what's forgot the pop singer's
Oh,
name in it.
Harry Styles, the One
He,
Direction kid. He was
yeah,
good,
but
I know,
he's good in it. He's good in it,
I
and he's good
know,
in
he
it, and
was.
because like even at when they're going home right at the end, they're on the train, and you know, um, they feel deflated. They feel like everybody's going
They're
to
not
be
heroes,
they're
yeah.
not heroes. What did you do? You gave up. It's again, I suppose it's like to the last man to the stance, but it was all about you've got to get it back. And it like the percentages like in real life, it like they didn't expect like even 20% to come back. That would be the win. That would be the win.
It's
You
such
look
a
at
feel good he knew how to
yeah,
shoot it
yeah,
when Branagh first sees the first little boat coming. When
mm,
he sees that first little boat,
yeah,
and then, of course, the shot kinda pulls back, and then you see boat after boat of the little ships coming over,
mm,
and, he does that little speech, he's ticked off, they're surrounded, he's gotta keep the morale up, and he's talking about this and talking about that, and he tells his second in command to get on a ship, and
mm,
he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" He's like, "Duh, I'm the commander. I'm
yeah,
staying here. I'm not
mm,
leaving until the last man's out of here." And
yeah,
the one guy says something to the effect like, "Okay, well, no, you have to go back. Why?" And he just says it like one word, because it's home. And he's not saying it's home because I want you to go home. It's home, to your point, we have to defend home. Like,
yeah,
we that's home, and
mm,
that can't, be subject to this, what we've seen here in France. We're not gonna let that come home.
yeah.
It gets me. I I'm so glad I saw this in the theater 3 times in IMAX. I'm so glad I brought my dad. I'm so glad I came back and brought my kids. Um, and I'm so disappointed that so many people, like, don't see the or appreciate this film 'cause,
Yeah, I
a
think
lot
it's because is it because it's not a traditional modern day war movie? Because there's not a lot of deaths. If you
I
actually think
think
about it, there's
yeah, I
not
think they
actually
also
like because you can hear the I suppose the Charles de Gaulle element that's defending back, but you can hear them. You can
mhm,
just hear what's going on in the distance. But like the main one, except for
could
a couple of
there's not a lot
sniper
of action.
shots,
Well,
that's
in
it.
the
But the
boat,
act,
in the ship,
yeah,
though, that's
but I say the action is actually in the air with the RAF. That's the thing,
yeah,
and then you got the like the with the oil spill, in the water. Yeah,
the
yeah,
troop carrier being sunk, but
yeah. But it's
I
all
think
about
people
tension.
don't
It's
get
all
it.
about yeah. I think it is all just intention. It's like a novel. These little ships, like little boats, most of them trying to go, and it's literally that they're chugging along over the English Channel, trying to get there. But of course, they're going slow as anything, and then they got to
Yeah,
get back, rescue people. And I think it's the suspense that I think is great. And like that, you have hero moments in the movie, but they're more of an uplifting hero moment. They're not like
mhm,
oh, I've just saved 20 people by taking out a tank. It's not that. This one, I think, I like there's moments on it where he does it well with, especially with Kenneth Branagh. I think he's underrated in this movie because there's a
mhm.
lot of it where they pan to him and he's just waiting,
And
and
it's
that's
that
great. It's
look on his
great.
face.
Yeah.
He's looking. He just keeps looking, and,
Mm.
yes, I agree too.
Yeah,
I
it's
also
yeah,
think
line up and then like he's like just guys just line up like
just,
that. And we'll
"Come
have to
on, they're
wait.
coming, they're
That's it.
gonna
Yeah.
be here, come on." But I also think I've mentioned in a couple of, films that we've talked about where the absence of sound means
Mm,
something, and here in this film, there are moments in time where it's completely silent, and then particularly the Tom Hardy scenes when he's in the air, you actually hear the tick, 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 tick,
mm,
tick, because his is just 1 hour and he's ticking down fuel, and you just hear that tick, 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 tick. I think that's so effective, and other people have criticized it, and hey, it won 3 Oscars. It was nominated for 8. It won for sound editing, and overall film editing, so I think he did it right.
yeah.
I think people miss that whole artistic approach. I think it's tremendous.
Mm,
I do. I can watch this film over and over and
yeah.
over and over again. Um, and every time I see something different in it. So
Yeah,
that's a high
I do. When it
recommendation.
came on, it is, yeah, it's for me things, and I think it's like, yeah, you have the little bit of history, but you actually put your mindset into those kids. Not most of them, like,
Mhm.
yeah, they're actually regular army, not, but literally just that weight and hearing. Do you imagine that you're waiting to be picked up to go back home across the English Channel? You know what the English Channel's like. You can't see anything, and you've been told you can't go and help. You're not allowed to go and fight. That's down to Charles of Gaulle's lot,
Mhm.
waiting for him to get back and get over as well. And it's just like, you've just got to make it, but you've just got to wait, and we'll get the boats to you. Oh, that must have been horrifying. That, like, one, it's, you've got that boredom element into it,
Mhm.
but then you've also got that, I can hear what's going on behind me and I
Oh,
can't do
yeah, and they've
anything
gotta
about
be
it.
getting closer. They've
Yeah,
gotta be
yeah.
getting closer. What are we gonna do? Swim?
Mm,
You
yeah.
know, that's,
Yeah, it's a great, yeah, I can, I highly recommend this. Now, this one I don't need to put a poster up, thank you, because this was going to be my next pick, and this
alright,
is
so
sad.
we've
We
had our
got our two.
double-double now.
Yeah, now I think we're going to have some ones beginning with G. Definitely, we might have a few. But yeah, so Sandy, this was going to be also my pick next, and it's now your pick.
Aha! Okay, so when we did our film club review of Platoon, I shared that, I really do appreciate Platoon, as a really good movie, probably the best Oliver Stone movie. But for me, the best Vietnam War film is Full Metal Jacket. And and I couldn't figure out why actually until we started to really dissect Platoon. And it was one of the things you said about Platoon lacks a little bit of a thread of a story. You're following a soldier, but they're not kind of not going toward a particular objective. You got the two sergeants kind of at each other, but it's kind of missing something. Full Metal Jacket, I like the way it's constructed. So you get like two halves of a story. You get a break where you have, the Matthew Modine character. You're going through his life in basic training, at Paris Island, and this is the Marines. So you're seeing the recruits being broken down so that they can be built back up, and the sergeant that's going to do that is a decorated war veteran, R. Lee Ermey, who went on after Full Metal Jacket and a few other films to actually host a show on the History Channel about weapons and weaponry. He's great. He was so good as a host on these educational shows. Um, but
He do you know he plays the same character in another movie? His character. This is a little thing. He plays exactly the same character in Michael J. Fox's The Frighteners as a ghost.
oh, I've never seen that.
Like
Okay,
that.
I've
Oh,
never
it's
seen. I was gonna
really,
say The
it's a
Frighteners.
bit of it's a comment. It's
Why
actually,
isn't
yeah,
this on my list? I've not
yeah,
seen that.
it's a bit, yeah, I'll watch it. It's quite funny, but he plays it, and he plays the character, like
Oh
this
wow.
over the top, like, "Oh, you bastard," like that. "What are you doing?" Kind of like over the top, it's great. Yeah, I think like but this movie, like, you're right, it's two movies. Like, if you actually thought about it, this
Mhm.
is actually Stanley Kubrick in it, like, is a genius in
Yeah.
most movies, but this is two different things, because you do have, um, you know, y- your first section, and then you have the Vietnam section. Like that. You have, yeah, um, your your
He's a correspondent then. He's
yeah,
being
yeah,
sent
joke.
in to Joker,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But
But
I
you
like it
also
because, sorry, but
no,
say
go
I
ahead, go
like
ahead.
it. That first part that's what I think Platoon was kind of lacking. I think that first bit is to get
Yes.
you, because you meet the character, some of the characters who go off when they give them all their different roles. Um, but you get to know them, and you get to
Yes.
understand the kind of the mindset of the recruits who are going to go into this war. I
Yeah.
think it's quite clever, and I think how he, having you know, the very what I suppose like international. We believe that's what the Marines are. Like having a little sing song marching. This is my gun, this is my rifle, this is for fun. Was it? This one's for fun, this one's for killing, or something. I can't remember the actual
Yeah.
phrase. That, and of course you've got the private piles,
Private
they call
Pile,
him
Vincent
piles.
D'Onofrio, and
Yeah,
I
what
think
what he literally he how we didn't win anything for this.
that
That
yes,
is
that's
He was absolutely amazing. Every time I
yep,
believe him. I
yep,
believe his story of being this um uneducated
yeah.
buffoon who's kind of gone into the, I'm guessing he's was drafted. I'm guessing so.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. He
and
well, he was drafted or he didn't have a
a
job and
volunteer,
had to
yeah,
do something, yeah.
yeah, and then that, but he's believable. He's believable as the one who
Such
just
a good role.
doesn't fit.
Yep.
And then, of course,
"Is
the,
that a
the drill
jelly
sergeant.
donut I see? What is this, a jelly donut?
Yeah, and when they
Private
break him,
Pile."
and when they break him, and then they find out, he's got one thing, only thing he can do. He's a good shot.
He is a
He
good
can
shot.
actually, he
Yep.
can shoot, and that and then that moment, like everybody, spoilers, everyone. I'm gonna do it.
When he breaks,
Oh,
so
just that,
he's taking care of his gun, he's taking care of his gun,
but that bit where
he's loading his gun.
you just hear the clicking. And
Yep,
what's Joker's on fire watches that we if
yep,
not in the military, it's a thing to make sure everybody's asleep and not awake, and you can just hear the clicking. It feels like, but Kubrick did it well. It just
yeah.
sounds like a tap dripping, and then it gets louder and it gets echoey until Joker gets in there, and he's just sitting literally, and that face of like he's cracked. Oh, it's brilliant. I think that, like, the lead up to it, but that one pivotal scene to like I suppose like
But it's
the
kind of the
killing and
scene
the
like it had to
oh
happen. Like, that's how
yeah.
those 2 characters, right? And we've seen it, you see it all throughout literature. Those 2 characters, that's how they had to end.
Mm,
They
yeah.
that's how it had to happen.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, he was broken and he cracked up
mm,
and took the sergeant with him. Um, but then the second half of the film, you get Joker as a war correspondent, and he's in the thick of it,
mm,
and you know, he's seeing what we're not really seeing back home, or what people then weren't seeing back home. Um, he's also, seeing others. Many of these films, you're gonna see a tight group of characters, and then you're gonna see them not surviving and not making it through. I love every performance in this film. I agree. I don't know how Vincent D'Onofrio didn't get nominated. Um, Honestly, I don't know how Arlie Ermy didn't get nominated, although that's just how he was in real life. So he's playing
mm.
himself. Um, it only got one Oscar nomination for Best Screenplay. The film was based on the book Short Timers by Gustav Hansford. So it was not a true story, but Gustav Hansford wrote this book based on his experience. And then the screenplay was written by Stanley Kubrick, directed by Stanley Kubrick. And as far as historical accuracy, because it does cover, some of these films, they're war era films, but they don't cover actual events. Like, the event in the Dirty Dozen didn't
Mm.
actually happen, right? But
Yeah,
this
this
is
is around the Tet, isn't it? The Tet
the Tet
ceasefire, isn't it?
Offensive, yeah, so they
Yeah.
are covering, that part is an actual, part of part of history. Um, I don't know why I feel like, the word is distant, like, from Platoon. I don't feel sucked into the characters.
Mm.
I don't feel truly except the 2 sergeants, right? Except the Tom
Yeah.
Berenger and Willem Dafoe characters. But you're supposed to be seeing that film from the perspective of the Charlie Sheen. Here, I feel so connected to the characters because I saw what they went through, and now I'm seeing what the Matthew with Joker is seeing. And by
Mm.
seeing what he's seeing, I do feel so connected to this film.
Yeah.
Um, and I
That's
do,
the,
I do
you,
think,
that's it. So you can connect to all of them. Like when you see Cowboy comes back, you're connected to him because you
yes,
know what he's
yes,
been through. Mm. But
yeah.
yeah,
So I'm excited that this was on your list. So
no, it had
now
to
we're
be.
equal. We don't have to do an
Uh,
extra now. We're one for one.
no, that's the thing. But I think this is, you're right. This is my, I said like I'm a bit of a Vietnam, pre Indochina and Vietnam buff, I suppose we'll call it. This is my favorite movie.
Hmm.
That's it. And most like I had a podcast yesterday. We brought it up. Was the last bit was filmed in London. So I find that things if you didn't know. So what they did, Stanley Kubrick's after a IRA bomb, and then they were demolishing it. Said,
Oh,
"Can I use it?" So they did. Yep,
oh my
and
gosh.
they just put palm trees up to make it look like
Oh my
Vietnam.
goodness.
And that's a little movie trivia. So yeah, it was the
Movie
last
trick,
bit.
find
Yeah,
a
was
palm
yeah.
tree. It's Vietnam.
So yeah, the Isle of Dogs, Docklands area in London. It was a film there. Yeah, so he was like, "Yeah, cool, hold it. That's the buildings are blown up, being demolished anyway. Can we use it?" They were like, "Yeah, go on then." So yeah, so
Why not?
that bit, yeah. So that's it. But yeah, I think it is. I think it's the connection, and of course you've got, um, even though what, of course, Joker's gone through, he's still going to keep his Jokerism, I suppose you want to call it, having it that kind of pop in the, like, every uh, moment he can, he, he has a joke, but when it gets serious, Stanley Kubrick did it well. It's like get it really intense with that kind of
Yes.
music, like music. So yeah, I adore this. I think yeah, it's one of those. But it's this is my, I believe it. Like, like
Yes.
Platoon, you can see it happening, but you can see
Yep.
it being vaguely wrong. I can see this one like with the sniper at the end, and like they get there and it's actually a young girl.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You can see that happening. Yeah, it's just it's I
And the
think it
change in him, like, they had made a
yeah.
comment about, like, "You don't have the
Mm,
stare, you haven't, you
mm.
haven't killed
The-
anyone."
Yeah,
And
the 100
now
was a 100-meter stare.
1,000-yard stare. Yeah,
1,000,
you
yes,
don't
that
have
was
the
it. Yeah, that's it.
1,000-yard stare, and now
Yeah,
he does.
but yeah, but
Um,
this one is like, he's like Stanley Kubrick. I think it's one of those ones where he didn't need to over art it, like that. It was just, this is what we're shooting, but I'm just gonna let it play. I don't have to do camera tricks. It's literally just
yeah,
the sound in this, I think, helps a lot. But yeah, the acting, yeah, it's like, I think the the acting around their characters fits what they look like. You can
it
understand. I
does.
think when they get the names, I think it's great. So yeah, this is highly, highly recommended. And I think this is probably going to come up. I'm guaranteed this is on our main film club
It
as
is
well.
on the wheel.
Yeah,
If you
it's on
didn't
the
put it
wheel.
on, I put it on.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure it's on
yeah,
the
that'll be
wheel.
good.
Well, I
Now,
just wanna do a quick
mm,
a quick tally.
yeah,
I've been counting by war. Okay, so World
yeah,
War One, we've had 1. World War II, we've had 3 so far.
yeah,
Crimea, we've had 1, and
yeah.
Vietnam, we've had 1. So I'm just
Okay.
keeping track here on
Well,
how much
I
we're
did put a
covered.
poll up earlier, and I did say which period is the best portrayed in films. I put the
Oh,
American Civil War, World War One, World War Two, and the Vietnam War. You only can have 4, and at the moment, 71% says World War Two. So yeah,
I
but I
just
think
think
that's probably
there's
because there's
10
probably
times
more.
more films. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's it.
are.
Now, so are you going to guess my next
Back
what
to you.
era?
I don't know.
What war? That's it.
What
But this,
war?
well, there's no
Mm.
Brits in it unless you count the
Oh,
immigration. So, but this is one, I adore this movie. I adore, and I hope you watch the TV show I recommended. This is Gallipoli.
I haven't watched it yet, but
Oh,
I saw this come up, like, as I was looking at at critiques of some of the films
mm.
I had, selected, and this did come up, and I figured you were gonna have this on your list. So,
This is great. This is very young Mel Gibson. Yeah, and
yeah,
Mark Lee. Literally, yeah, the another blunder, I suppose, of the military to Gallipoli, but this is around two runners. It's literally so two rival athletes back in Australia. Their rival long distance runners like that, and they then get to join up and go to war. And they became entrenched into the Gallipoli trenches, and the very like it's about their relationship. It goes back and forth and all that, but it's again it's all pivotal, all on that the last moment of the movie. If you've not, have you seen this movie, Sandy?
No, no,
Oh, I can't spoil it. Then I can't spoil
you
it.
can. You
Ah,
can.
well, let's say it's heart wrenching. It makes you go
Oh,
because it's very hard to me because all you want is you like run faster,
oh
and it's
no.
all about getting that order to the front line in
Oh
time
gosh.
because they're all going to do something, and yeah, there's an order they can't do because um the comm system, or they keep getting sniped out and all that. So it's all about that. But yeah, this is all about Mel Gibson's character being a runner. The other one also, but that like Mel Gibson's character gets the up for someone, but he's not. He kept on losing, so he's not the fastest runner
Mm.
out of them both. Like he's like a number two, I suppose, like that. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it was one of those ones when I first watched it. It was like a period of war that, of course, you don't really hear of. I suppose like it's like a lost one. And I got very much like it's an Australian. They have their like remembrance about it because of the tragedy.
Well, do you
Like
think part
just
of
a
that
cock
is
up.
because, like, literally Churchill wrote the history book afterward, and Churchill literally kind of screwed up? And you think there's any influence there as to why you don't really hear about it?
Well, maybe I don't know because you get it from the Australians, of course, New Zealanders. They all they heavily think about it. I'm guessing it's because it's really the British weren't involved directly in the conflict. They in the Navy, the Royal Navy was there,
Mm,
and like having um, we just don't get tools here. Like it's very
mm,
vague, and like it was only from like actually media like this that I got really interested into the conflict and how interesting it was. Like there's I think it was the water bearer, something like that, a Russell Crowe movie, absolutely brilliant. It's like I think it's the water bearer, the water runner, or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, where he's going to find his dead son. He's gonna find him in Gallipoli, and it's very heart wrenching. That's a really sad movie, but really great. But there's so many like that. Like the TV series is brilliant. I just think it shows it's one of those ones shows the brutality of war, of
mhm,
Wycherley, and it can all go wrong because of one idiot. And this one
mhm.
was Churchill's fault. He
Yep.
completely got it wrong. But mostly it was the Royal Navy's fault as well because they got the title. They got the title wrong. And anybody doesn't know Gallipoli, they were supposed to land on, I suppose, one side of the beach, and not one bit was high cliff's face. Then of course, they sent them in at the wrong time, got the tide wrong, and all when they landed straight in the cliff face, and everybody just opened up on them. This is a bit more of the established part after it, is where they kind of now are going in against the Turks, and the Turks have got the high ground,
Mm,
and they've got like they're trenched in, and they shouldn't have been. It wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to get in, run run in, run out kind of job, and they went. And I can't remember how long this took to actually, you know, finally break through. But it was just an absolute horrific, another blunder movie, I suppose, like that. But it's very good. It's centric around to you, runners, it's only Mel Gibson's character, so you get really connected to both of them really quickly because it shows, back home, this is, the young, like they're the high school, I suppose, like runners, like they're the fast, sprinters and all that, they're the fitness, and then we're going to go to we're going to sign up and go to war. And I can't remember, one of them is underage, and then he has to go to the next town along because all the people in that town know him. So he goes to the next, like province, whatever, to sign up, and they go, "How old are you?" Yeah, of course, yeah, it's the right age now. And they don't check the ID to actually find out if they're right. But it's heartwarming. It's very sad. It is like literally at the end, you're gutted. You feel gutted. But of
Oh,
course, it also opens up. And this is why I like, because it opened up for me a new history branch, I suppose you
yeah,
want to call it
yeah.
that. Yeah, of like yeah, and it's once you learn about and start reading up, and like it opens up, and it's dark. It's dark what actually happened to him, and literally, yeah, and it was kind of like, oh, kind of sweep under the carpet, kind of afterwards. We don't want to talk about that because it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Hmm.
So it was another, one that unfortunately the Australian and New Zealanders suffered, but it was a British mistake. Yeah. And mostly down to one person, rightly or wrongly, got thrown under the bus. So we never know. Really, I think they're probably down the world of the top secret files somewhere.
Probably. Now it's on my list. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it's definitely on my list.
I'll do it. If you love this movie, go straight into the TV
Go
series.
right to the TV series. Okay.
Oh, the TV series is unbelievably great, and I mean, it's like Band of Brothers. It's Band of Brothers style, and it's just set in
Oh, that's a
Gallipoli,
high
Italy.
bar. That's a high bar.
Yeah. And I was like, when I watched it, I was like, wow, they've done it well, and it's all Australian production company. Yeah, it's really well done. And they've just, when it's respectful, and you
Hmm.
can like that. That's that TV series. But this is great, and it's like you say, you get to see a very young Mel Gibson, so I like that. So it's good. But yeah, it's
Oh,
this was one of my top 5. This would be one of
oh,
my
good
4 movies.
recommendation then.
Yeah. So I mean, this was like, yeah, it's going in, it ain't coming out. Like literally, there's not gonna be anything that can push this out of like get out of my top 10. So there you go.
Awesome.
So now let's have a look what we got. Oh, okay. I just saw your one. Let me get the poster up as I
I'm
was
guessing this
ranting.
is the only film of this era because it is the only film I'm aware of from this particular war. I don't
Mm.
think there are any other films.
I'm trying to think if there's actually anyone on the top of my head. No. Do you want to let me just quickly? I'm trying to find a good one.
Well, take your time. It
Uh,
is MASH. So
yeah.
the 1970 film that then spawned the landmark television series, which ran for several years and just received so many accolades. What the film and the television, it's one of those situations where the film and the television series um, are good, are equally good. I don't think the television series diminishes the film. I don't think the film is that much different, and it is the Korean conflict. Yes, um,
Mm, there we go.
the kind of the heart of the story is you're at a MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, and there were these units all through South Korea, and then also during the Vietnam War. These were the mobile hospitals, and when you were shot up on the lines, you were sent, to the hospital. You were patched up, and you were either sent back to the lines, or you were sent home, or you were sent home in a bag. Um, but the theme here, which I don't think we see in too many other films, is these are doctors and nurses. They've committed their lives to saving lives. And yet there are instances when they too have to take up arms and they too have to send soldiers right back, knowing that they may, they may not be coming back, or that they may be killing or harming someone else. Um, you really get the morality question here. And again, this is portraying the Korean War in the 70s while we're in Vietnam. It probably would have been too close to be trying to portray Vietnam in 1970 while we're still in Vietnam in 1970. Um, but selecting the Korean War, using real life examples of situations, but wrapping it in a very human and, yes, funny slapstick way that these characters dealt with war was incredibly effective. And I do think it straddled that line. Like, if it got way too silly, it would not be effective. But I'm gonna bring it up again. But similar to Blackadder Goes Forth, this film balances the seriousness of war with the human reaction, which sometimes is despair, sometimes is anger, and sometimes is humor. And it does it masterfully, as did the television series. Um, so while the characters are the same, these are the same characters, Hawkeye Pierce and um, Margaret Houlihan, and even the priest, Father Mulcahy, who is, by the way, Rene Aubergenois, Odo from Star Trek. You're not a Star Trek person. Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine is Father Mulcahy here.
Oh, is he? I'll have to
Yes,
watch it again. I must say I
he's
like
very
this movie.
young.
I think I adore the TV series. I can watch that. That's funny. Yeah, this is right. This is I guess in like people served when you need that levity of like because it's weird. Some things you do is like what you do. It's weird. Sometimes the only way to like to understand it is have a little bit of humor about why you're
Yeah,
doing what you hear. And I think this does it well. Like Donald Sullivan is brilliant in it, but like
he
yeah,
is.
the like his quirkiness again, like they like when they're going off and like it's one of those, like a bit, off the like sexualizing the, back to the women back to them, like the nurses, the doctors as well, like that. And but that in the middle of it, they're in the middle of the Korean War.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
they
And I
they do, even in the film and the TV shows, just when things are getting crazy, silly, there's one thing that you hear the
mm,
choppers. You
yeah.
hear and it must be, for those who did serve in that situation, I'd have to think, and I thought about that, like, I didn't watch the show when it was originally on, I was
Mm,
not born or too young, but watching the reruns with my parents and my granddads, and, you know, I wonder if that sound of a helicopter is just what could, set people off who served in that conflict. My uncle served in the Korean War, and, um didn't talk and we didn't ask. It was, again, one of those missed opportunities to get some, to get information about what he experienced during that time. Um, but I just, as a kid, it was a silly show. And then as an adult watching the reruns, it meant something very different. And Galadorn put in the chat about watching the finale. The finale to the MASH television show was the most watched show in television history.
mm,
And because everyone tuned in because they were finally going home, right? The war was over. But the ending was gutting. So I'm not going to spoil that. I am not going to spoil that ending. Um, but it really personified what one has to do to survive in war,
mm,
and how that impacts you for the rest of your life, and what when you go home, you take the war with you when you go home. Um, and again, I hate to, like Blackadder Goes Forth, that very last scene, like it hits you in a way that you didn't expect. And that's how the ending to the television
yeah.
series, hit you in a way you did not expect. The film, it, it again, it accomplished that balance of, again, reminding people these are doctors. They're not soldiers. They're not here to kill. They're here to heal. And they keep reminding themselves and others of that. Um, the fact that the television show took, like I said, took the same characters with different actors except for one. There's only one actor who was in the film and in the television series, and that was Radar O'Reilly, Gary Berghoff. All of the other actors, I guess they were all screen actors, so they were too big to come
Mm,
and do the television series. But the actors in the television series were fantastic too. And one Emmy after Emmy after Emmy. This film won just one Oscar for the screenplay. There were 4 other nominations. And as far as historical accuracy, I give it a B, um, because it didn't it's the movie wasn't meant to cover a battle or an event. The
Mm.
movie was meant to cover the psychological experience on the people who served, particularly the doctors and nurses in these units. And I think, you know, and again, who am I to speak? I've not served, and I don't know anyone who did serve in Korea except my uncle who passed away. But I have to believe that this portrayed that part very, very well, and you know, critically acclaimed, um, and stands really. It is preserved in the Library of Congress and National Film Registry. Um, but I like this movie. It's not a war film. It is a war film because it's on our list, but you're not seeing the war on the front lines. You're
No,
seeing the people who are patching up the soldiers, which I think is a terrific view into how they experience the war.
Abe just got deep.
Yeah.
True that. Yeah.
Thanks to
Uh,
all who served.
mm. But yeah, I like this. Yeah, just didn't make my list. I just think because I like. Do I class it as a war movie? It's probably on the cusp of that, but it is like you don't like. It's not a general. You know, because you don't see again. It's one of those ones we've said
There's
about.
not
You
an
see,
objective. Yeah.
yeah, don't do it. But it's about it's good though. I because it shows a different aspect. It's not about the people holding the rifle. It's not about, you know, the people out in the field, you know, the spy, whatever network. These are doctors. These are like, yeah, and they're still in danger, and they
Hmm.
portrayed that in the movie. And I think, yeah, it's very well done. I think the cast is great. You know, they're like there's some of them, I don't know. I think that Donald Sutherland, did he just come out of some couple of good hits and then he got
Yeah.
kind of big, didn't he? So yeah, so yeah, it's but I don't know which one's better, like the MASH TV or this. I like them both, and like,
I
you know,
think I
if
do.
you had to score, yeah, like they're probably even score if that's, yeah,
Yeah.
like even though, yeah, because I remember like being a bit like younger and MASH TV series would be on, and you just like, you know, you didn't mind. It's one of those like things. If you missed an episode in the middle section, it didn't really matter. But you could catch
Yes.
up, and it all just like,
It
it went
didn't have
way
that
nicer.
thread
No,
through, which is
no,
how most like it was
yeah.
classified as sitcom, right? A
Mm,
situation comedy,
mm,
which is that's how they were kind of created in the US. You could really
yeah.
watch them in any order. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Each
No.
story was self-contained.
But good pick. Now, this is my pick. I'm probably not going to say a lot about it because my last movie pick was what, Sandy?
Which one did you? Well, you would have picked Full Metal Jacket, but I picked it. You
I know I
Gallipoli.
had Gallipoli. So my next one does begin with a G.
Does it? But I bet it's the wrong one.
Is it?
It is the wrong one. Yes,
Ah,
it's not the
the
best
get.
one, but it's a good one.
It's the good one. I like this
It's a
one.
good one, but it's not the
I
best
put
one.
this on because of things. So yeah, this is the Tom Berenger, Jeff Daniels, Martin Sheen, Gettysburg. Now, I think this. I do like this movie. I think there's a set to it. I've got. Now, I'm gonna get. You are the geek. I could talk about the movie, but I'm gonna hand over to like you a little bit on this one. Have you? So you've got. I'm guessing you've got the other one.
Well, the problem,
Okay.
when we look at the eras that we're really interested in is that we are hypercritical, right? So being hypercritical, and for these films, for American Civil War era films, we tend to look too much at the historical accuracy, right?
You do.
And I do. So there's an organization I belong to called the American Battlefield Trust. I recommend that everyone take a look at, and you can go online. It's battlefields.org, but American Battlefield Trust. And what they do is, in addition to their historic preservation mission, which is literally to prevent massive data centers from being built on the Manassas battlefield and really to preserve hallowed ground, they also create these wonderful maps and they also create videos that really go into the detail of these battles. They also create some fun videos, and one of the fun videos they do every once in a while is rating Civil War movies, television shows, etc. So you can find there's a 2-part, like, best and worst Civil War films out there on YouTube. And when they get to Gettysburg, there's a lot of conversation. Number one, because members of the trust actually consulted on the film. And just last year, I think it was last year or the year before, can't remember what year this film is, but it just had its 25th. What year was the film? Because I think it was the 25th anniversary.
1993.
Okay, so 93, so 25. Nope. What that would have been. 93, maybe it's 30. Yeah, so I guess in 2023, then it was 30 years, right? So they had a 30-year commemoration. Martin Sheen came to Gettysburg, and there was a screening, and there was a whole event. I didn't get to make it because I had to work. But they really, really obsess about the accuracy of the battles portrayed, and that's unfortunate, right? So it's hard to decouple yourself. The one thing the reason it's not my top Civil War film is, number one, there were many more generals than Jeff Daniels, Joshua Chamberlain. And this whole thing, this is the Joshua Chamberlain story, right? That Jeff Daniels is fantastic. Martin Sheen's wonderful. Tom Berenger, they're all wonderful. They're great. And oh my gosh, only one man ever, I thought at the time, could play Abraham Lincoln, until I saw Daniel Day-Lewis play Abraham Lincoln. And then I went from Sam to Daniel. But I think it's, number one, filmed primarily in and around Gettysburg. 10 stars for that. Absolutely. Got the battle slightly wrong, and that's just incredibly frustrating. The timing of some of the attacks, what was going on. I do realize you can't take a 4-day battle and condense it into a 2.5-hour movie. I know that's difficult. The way that I feel like, without saying the other films, the way the other films portrayed some of the historical characters, sometimes when you back away from the historic characters and focus on more of the day-to-day soldiers, I think it gives you a more rich picture. And I do think this was the Joshua Chamberlain story. And I think the prequel to this film, Gods and Generals, focusing on the Confederate side, when you watch the two together, and you can't help but to watch the two together because it's the same actors, it leans more into the lost cause bias, and that's disturbing for a lot of historians as well, because it's portraying a little bit of the nobility of the Southern cause, and it's not a political statement today. It's not, oh, we can't talk about that. It's that it just wasn't even true. The lost cause argument came many years after the Civil War was done and over. It was created by people after the war who, in some respects, had nothing to do with the war. And a whole attempt to kind of flip political allegiances. And it gets really mucky and muddy. But when you're just looking at the portrayals of some of these characters, if you want to call this the Joshua Chamberlain story, I'm fine. If you want to call this Gettysburg, this is not accurately the Battle of Gettysburg. I'm going to shush up now. I'm just going to hush up now.
No, I get that. I'm guessing that's your overcritical, your
It's
nerd
overly
history,
critical. Yes,
because
yes.
if you look at like these and this kind of, there's other movies set in this kind of, like, they did like an late 80s, so like probably like 5 years after this movie, a lot of like Civil War kind of like movies, this one I think is a good battle movie if you actually take it as the nuance of, like, it will educate people, not to your standard. I understand that, to Gettysburg, but it will get people to think, yeah, you kind of, and I think that's like Jeff Daniels' character. In this, it's all surrounding that character. It misses the mark on that because there's more interesting elements to the battle. But again, like you can't make that it would have to be like an 8-hour movie.
Absolutely,
And
and I
like that.
agree.
Yeah, but to the things of like how they condense everything, very short, like to the movie time. I think this is a good war movie.
Yeah.
Like that is a real good a battle movie. It's not a war, it's like that, but it's a battle movie. I think it shows, like because this one is different to other of the other movies. What was on our this is literally it doesn't have a character building, because if you don't know about the American Civil War, you're not going to know the names. Like you would go, what's going on? They're just soldiers, you don't like that. This goes in, there's no political elements to it. This is all about getting to the ground of Gettysburg. So they're relying on this movie that you've heard of. At least there's a battle called Gettysburg, and you're going to now witness it on the big screen. I think they did quite well. So I think this is I get the prequel like that. I think they run into each other quite well. Like there's aspects of it. I know the aspects of it. I just enjoy this movie.
It is a
I
good
enjoy
watch. I'd say
mm,
it's number 4 on my Civil War list.
mm,
So it's not bad. It's up there. I do definitely hyper fixate on it. But when it comes up on the wheel of film, because it will,
mhm.
um, we can spend several hours just on this film. There's a lot of goodness. I do think the
I
scenes are
said, get
shot
ready, Jay.
well.
Get ready, Jay.
Yeah.
So when Jay's now changing nappies, he needs like a Civil War book at the same
Yeah.
time. There we go.
I
But
think the
yeah, I've
scenes are shot well. I do
mm,
love um the dialogue. There are moments of brilliance in the dialogue, and then there's some really bad dialogue in this
I don't
film
think
too.
like that's the thing. I don't in this movie. I don't think they needed so much dialogue. I
Yes.
know, like
Okay, good point.
I don't think they do. I think if they just concentrated on the movement
Mhm.
to the battle, I think they're like your 1993 thing. Probably the constraints of like getting that, like if they had like a drone, how
Yeah.
good you'd see like that, and
Oh my
actually getting
gosh.
like that. And I think the numbers, I think like that they condense like one element is it doesn't seem like they had enough extras in this, but I still like it. Like for me, it's still a 6 or a 7. Like
Yeah.
that, I would like that because I enjoyed the movie. I can see it like
Mhm.
that. Is it my yeah, again, it's not my all-time Civil War one. There's other ones that are much darker that I enjoy, but I wouldn't class as a war movie, so I
Mhm.
didn't put it on the list. But this one for the battle movie, I would
Yeah.
call it. I really enjoy it. So that's why this was on my list. But I'm guessing if this when it does probably come on the wheel, there I'll get the books out and we'll go
We're
we'll
gonna
go
look
by
at
scene
some
by scene,
maps. We're
scene by
gonna look
scene.
at the orders of battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there we go. So we got another war. We've just gone
Yes,
to it
I've
like
just
that. So
added hang on, we've added
yeah, now
Korea. We've added American World War II is still winning with 3.
there we go.
World War II is and I haven't put my next one in yet,
Oh
have
yes,
I?
they on.
Oh, yeah, well, it's good to have Korea on there. Okay, I'm gonna add you're not gonna expect this one.
Go
I
on.
know for
Dun, dun, dun,
sure.
dun, dun, dun. Oh, okay. But who's he
Kinda
got in it?
kinda covers 2 wars, kinda covers 2 wars. So we're at the end of World War I and heading into the Russian Revolution. It's Dr. Zhivago.
Let me
And,
go.
again, as I started to, do my research, the name David Lean, directed by a David Lean epic? I think all of his films we call epics, right? I mean, he's got Lawrence of Arabia, he's got some other ones maybe on this list.
Mm.
Um, I okay, I had to read War and Peace, not because I wanted to, but because I lost a bet many years ago. And I gotta tell you, I suffered through that entire book, and I hated it. And, no offense to our Russian friends, and I have Russian heritage. I swore to myself I'm not gonna pick up a Tolstoy or a Dostoevsky, but I did pick up a Boris Pasternak, and I did read Dr. Zhivago,
Mm.
and I really liked the book. I saw the film after reading the book. probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. Oh my gosh! Again, I don't know why I'm so surprised. This film was 1965. I think I suffer from presentism. Like, I think that nothing can look good on screen unless it was made in the last 20 years or something. Uh, and this is, I've only started to appreciate good filmmaking in the last few years, and so happy to be part of film club so that I can learn more. Um, because I do tend to just read the books, and I do tend to always assume that the book is better than the film, and I do tend to assume that no one can put on screen. This film is amazing. It's beautiful. It's a beautifully shot film. I care about the characters. Yeah, it's Omar Sharif playing a Russian dude and Julie Christie playing a Russian chick, and it's
Sir Alec Guinness playing a Russian guy.
Sir Alec Guinness. I mean, we're gonna have some Sir Alec Guinness all over the place. Um, but I it's it's about, kind of leaning from the the results or the impact of the World War on Russia and the Russian Revolution and those who do or do not agree with it, and kind of going through the the impact of war on people of all different classes. Um, but this is so cinematic. And I don't know why I mean, I'd heard of the film before. I just I just love it. You've got these scenes of these really big, huge, like movements of obviously you're going to have snow. You've got these huge movements of troops in the snow, and then you're going to talk about horses, right? You've got the horse charge, and all the brutality of war. But then you have the upper classes and all of their excesses while the people are suffering. And I mean, hence the Russian Revolution. The people are revolting. um you have to see this film, and then there's the music.
Yeah, let's go score on this. It's literally
Like,
from the
when you
beginning
see
to
it,
just
you're like,
yeah.
you're sucked in,
Mm.
and it's just so
It's
I
quite
keep
a
using.
long movie, isn't it? I can't remember how long it is. It's quite a long movie,
It's
I
really
remember.
long. That's why I say it's an epic. Let's see, how
3
long is.
hours,
Oh,
17
yeah.
minutes. There we go.
It's
So
an epic.
mm.
It is David Lean at his epic best, from Lawrence of Arabia to this, but it doesn't feel long. And there's the classic scene of, the sleigh in the snow, Yuri and Lara being drawn in the carriage through the snow. It's just, I mean, I think my grandmother had a painting in her, being of, but not my grandmother who was Russian, a painting in the dining room of the the sleigh being drawn through the snow with this horse, and it was from this film, and it was just, I can't imagine. So tell me, chat, who's actually seen this film? I can't imagine people today. I don't see this
I know,
running like on the movie channels. You have to go look for this film.
oh,
It's a
do you?
treat.
Like, no, I say for us, and well,
Does
I
it run there?
definitely know. Yeah, it runs. It's like that. It's like it'll be one of the it'd be either late at night or it would be, but it does run. It does run. It was on the other day. I mean, like a month ago or something like
Oh,
that. So like that, I just I
it
caught the beginning.
doesn't
I had to go
here.
out and I sat down and watched I was like, oh yeah, that's it. But did you get sucked in with the music? I think that's
You do, and
yeah,
I
like that.
almost forgot about it, but as I told you,
Mm,
I was trying to not have, like, all World War II movies, and I
mm.
was trying to even go beyond the United States, so I started typing in, "Okay, films from the French Revolution." They're all terrible. "Films from the Russian Revolution." "Oh, this one!" And then I just remembered watching it, and I just remembered I didn't have a really huge screen television at the time, but it was a nice television,
Mm.
and I just remember watching it on, not a DVD, but it was on one of the channels, and I was just sucked in. The way they do the snow scenes at night with the blue. I'm sure it's not a filter, I'm sure that's just what it looks like, but it's just beautiful. And then they go to the fields with the the wheat and the brown, and then they go to the battle scenes. And you mentioned earlier a drone. How did they film this? Did they? I guess they have to look into it. But I'm guessing they built a scaffold of some
Yeah,
sort, right?
crane or something. Yeah, got
To
something
get
out there.
those shots. They're so long and
I,
sweeping shots.
I think if you like, I'm just looking what's on my list. I can guarantee this is probably the most beautiful shot, because it's just so
Yes.
Panavision gone like to thing. But I must say, like when you watch it, like it does. It's a 60s movie. You can tell. You can just put it in like
Well,
that.
the
It's all,
hairstyles kind of, that's the one thing I
yeah.
put like, okay, they did the costumes right, because they won an Oscar. This won like a ton of Oscars.
Yeah.
But like the makeup and the hairstyles were very 60s. They're very 60s. It kind of felt like. So yeah.
Yeah. It is it's a Hollywood movie, isn't it? But then they
Big
gave it like make an epic about it. So yeah, it's the start of the like embedded into the backwards, the start. Sorry, it's like a few years in the Russian Revolution, then it goes back, doesn't it? And then it goes into the main story. But yeah, it's a sit down, pause it, have a toilet break and a coffee, then go back to it. I'm guessing these days.
Well, I'm
Like,
sure this was a film that had an intermission,
yeah,
right? This
must
would
have,
have
yeah.
definitely had an intermission and been a big event to go see this in the theater. It was nominated for 10 Oscars. It won for Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Set Design, Best Costumes, and Best Music. All the things you would assume it would be nominated for, or it would win. I didn't look it up. It must have cost a fortune to make this film.
Oh, I wonder what they. Yes, have a look at
It
the.
must have to budget
Have a
budget for Dr.
11 million estimated.
So today that would be 28 million or so today. Not
gross wide world 111 million.
It made 10 times. So it made yeah. Yep. So it was a big success. The 8th highest grossing film of all time. Wow. I mean, relative to inflation. So certainly was a huge deal. Again, you're seeing a combination of, you're seeing some battle scenes, but you're also seeing the characters, the classes. You're seeing how the war is impacting the different classes. I did like the book quite a bit, which made me watch the film. And like I said, it was one of those times where I didn't automatically say, oh, the book is so much better than the film. No, in this case, the film just absolutely sucks you in. So Daryl says, passed it back in the day and would pass by it today. It is a long one, Daryl. It's long. You got to be in a mood for it.
I would say though, it's if you've never seen it, it's one to watch. I like, this is the ones like it is probably a 7 or 8. I give it that. It's quite like that. Just bloody too long sometimes, and like you just go, you need a day like that. Is it free? Like like just under 3.5 hours
on a snowy day.
There is a lot of. I remember that there's a lot of snow. Yeah, like there's there's a lot of getting to place A to B like that. There's a like
well, they want those sweeping shots.
It's all about the character. It's like isn't it? It's a character movie. This one, like a story of what's happening. It's not about you don't get full into the again. It's like you get a little political, but that's in the backdrop. It's not about that at all. It's like this is the beginning of something new in Russia. So like that Serenchuk against Dr. Zhivago. So good little pick.
Epic.
This is I completely forgot about this movie until I was like, that's a good one. I think that's probably why you said that's the things. Now the next one on my list is going to be controversial. Did you see it? Have you seen it?
No. Is it not a war film? Is it a war?
It's a war. No, it's a war film. It's controversial for you.
Is it a
No, it's
fictional war?
controversial. No, it's gonna be
'Cause we
controversial to
can't
you.
do Star Wars, and we
No,
can't
you
do the Battle
no,
of
it's
Mordor because 'cause they're all fictional.
no, it's not fictional. It's real. It's probably gonna be because you're North,
Mm.
and this is the prequel to what I
Oh,
had
you
earlier.
put Gods and Generals on here. You did. You did. You are a Jeff Daniels fan, aren't
I'm an
you?
ass.
You are
Yeah,
a
but he's
Jeff
not in this.
Daniels
It's
fan.
Stephen Lang, who Stephen Lang
It
plays a
it
different character in Gettysburg. But
Yep.
this is now. I always think this movie's weird in one way. I don't get why they call it Gods and Generals, because this is all about one person
It's the
and
name of
one
the book.
person alone.
The book was
Is
called
is
Gods
is
and
it?
Generals.
Ah,
Yeah,
there you go. There we go. Okay, but why? It's
because it's all
Stonewall
about one
Jackson.
person. I know, it's all
Yeah, but
Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall
It is.
Jackson.
It's
I
Stonewall.
now I think yeah, I think Stephen Lang is brilliant in this.
Mhm.
He plays it really well. I like Robert the Fall as
Oh, I love
General
all
Lee.
their performances. I
Yeah,
do.
I think this is it's I can see why this is where things I it's a weird one because whereas Gettysburg is about like they try to make it around a battle. This is not. This
Nope.
plays up to
It's a
the
biography,
this
kind
is
of.
a biography of Stonewall Jackson but they do it in a way, guys, you got to read your history. Is they glorify him as this in to the end. If he didn't die, the Southerners would have won the war. That's what
Yeah,
you
no.
get at the end of this movie. You
No, no,
do
no, no, no.
yeah, but you
I
they really
know.
do. They played
These are the
that
lost
he
causers.
this is where they play into it quite a lot. I think this movie does it really well, but it's just they kind of really, really at the end is with General Lee doing the Gettysburg and all that. Like without Stonewall,
Mhm.
he wouldn't have done that and he wouldn't have gone into the north. And with Stonewall, he would have gone a different direction and probably would have got a consensus of like, maybe a score draw or whatever
Well, what they thought
against the north.
was, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go into history. What they
Yeah.
thought was gonna happen, they miscalculated my home state of Maryland. They believed so Maryland is south of the Mason-Dixon line, which is the political border of North and South, but it's north of the Potomac River, which is the geographic border of North and South. Maryland is a border state with people from the Union and the Confederacy all mixed up. The Southern sympathizers were in the South and in the city of Baltimore. The Union sympathizers were to the west. And this General Lee did not understand that. It was his biggest miscalculation of the war. He marched into Maryland just thinking they would all be on his side. He marched into the wrong part. He went in the wrong direction. He went west instead of east. Had he come up through Baltimore, he would have found an entire army ready to support him probably, and especially from the southern counties. He went to Frederick, Maryland, and wasn't very well received. And so his attack had to, that was 1862. He had to delay his attack up to the north to 1863 when Gettysburg happened. So anyway, long story, but it wasn't about Stonewall Jackson. It was a
No.
miscalculation. And also at one point, General Lee lost his set of orders and they fell into the hands of the Union Army up at Monocacy that also kind of gave away part of his plan as well. So
Mm.
Stonewall was awesome. He was a great military tactician, not commenting on his politics, but just in terms of military tactics. Yes, he was great, as was Robert E. Lee. But yeah, he went to the wrong hood, Daryl. He should have known. He went the
Well, I
wrong
think
way.
this movie's 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yep.
This is like that, but I like this movie because I think it does what other Civil War movies don't do. Is it starts off that what will become, of course, the Confederacy are the generals, I suppose, like or lieutenants or whatever you want, are in the Union Army. I suppose you
They're
want to
all
call it like
together.
they're blue,
They're
they're like that,
serving together.
and like they start off like Stonewall
They
Jackson
fought in wars
yeah,
together. They
and
fought in
yeah,
Spain together, and yeah.
yeah, but he's teaching, isn't he? He's teaching
Yep,
at the academy,
at VMI.
um, and yeah, he then it's literally know that state, and I like the even with um General Lee, when they kind of take him aside and like, will you be the head?
Will you
And
lead the
yeah,
Union
yeah,
Army?
yeah, and it's true to fact. He was like, no, it has to be my state, and
I
literally, yeah,
can't draw my
that
sword against my state of Virginia.
mm,
Yep,
and that's
he
it. So
couldn't. Yeah.
yeah, and you got all that, like a lot of people forget, like all the elements to the Confederacy hierarchy, I suppose, like that, like the um oh, what's his name? Vice President of the Confederacy is,
Well, the president is Jeff Davis.
yeah, and they
I don't know the
show,
vice president.
what was his name?
Who's the vice
Then they
president?
show him in this movie, like that. But I say I haven't watched. It's one I got on DVD. Like you can't. It's one of those ones you have to really search for. I forgot his name. But yeah, they kind of showed that kind of playing around, that moments. I like how they just show, no, there isn't that kind of the political divide of it. It literally was, they're all in blue at the start, and then they all go to, things. But I like how they, in a way, with Stonewall, yeah, they show his great achievements. There's a few battles that he wins, but by out maneuvering the Union Army. But I like how they kind of get like, yeah, we won't go to political, but how they make him like a dad. With like the young girl with the scarlet fever. I like that moment. It like, I think they purposely did that with the director, like kind of humanize, not to villainize the Reds, I suppose you want to call them. In that, but I think like the acting in this, I think Stephen Lee, I think like I could it's an epic movie, and it's really well done, and it's kind of like, like I can see why it wouldn't have fared well with the Academy, I suppose, or like that, or like, thing, because it is, it's there is a deep divide between Confederacy, like meaning, I suppose, like even when this was released. But I think it's just a really well done biography, like in the sense of it's telling that short trout without going too heavy political in on all. There's, you get some generals that you are mentioned on the Confederate side who are villainized bastards, really, later on, after the war finishes.
Well, there were plenty on the Union side that were
Yeah.
bastards anyway. I mean, they just
Yeah.
were some really bad ones.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
I think
McClellan himself was a Democrat. McClellan himself ran against not Grant, Johnson, and was, going to be okay with slavery. McClellan, who was the head of the Union Army for a time, there were disagreements at all levels of both sides. So there were idiots on both sides.
yeah.
McClellan,
Yeah.
for a whole host of reasons, and I know there are historians that defend McClellan. I know some are really apologists for him. McClellan was the one who always overestimated the other side so that he could run away. Run away. He told Lincoln flat out, "Oh, there's 150,000 troops across the river from us." There were 3,000. Yeah, okay, I'm exaggerating, but he would do that over and over and over again. He campaigned against Lincoln. He slammed Lincoln in public. He slammed Lincoln in private. He did not want the slaves free. And yet he's the head of the Union Army. And, there are good, and at the end of the war, you kind of, try to work through reconciliation. All of the pieces and parts of Reconstruction were so difficult to unwind because it wasn't as easy as what side you were on, because the people on both sides held views common to the other side. So it was a jumble mess. Stonewall Jackson, great tactician, really good teacher. I think, and he died. It was unfortunate. He lost an arm. So there are 2 burial sites for Stonewall Jackson. His arm is buried and marked near the Wilderness, and then his body is buried at VMI. But yeah, there is a separate grave for his arm, because when his arm was amputated, it was given a proper burial. And so there are
I did not
two
know that.
two graves. I've been to both of
Mm,
General Jackson's graves. Yeah.
yeah, but I do like that's why I put them both together. I think these, like as you said, like they're if you watched it back to back, it makes sense. But I think
Hmm.
whereas Gettysburg, like I did it alphabetically. I think if like I know this is the prequel, but I think if you watch this, then Gettysburg, I think it makes more sense. Those like it
Yeah,
needs like it feels like part one, part two, and I think like that is the thing. That's why I really like this movie. I like you know it shows the brother against brother,
it does.
uncle against like like son and all that or whatever it is. And I think it's good, like like the Patrick Swayze TV series North and South, where they just go, like yeah, they don't go too much in the political drama of what most people oh, what was the Civil War about? Oh, that just one tick you can have.
Hmm.
I think this movie as well, though it's centric around Stonewall Jackson, and it emphasizes the southern cause a little bit too much. I still really enjoy the story. I think like even it's epic. I don't think it's overplayed its like time, like three
Hmm.
hours like for nearly 40 minutes. I can watch this and not I can boom, I'm done like that. I think it's very good, a very good movie. I think it's very well done. And I think it like yeah, again it melds quite into the other movie Gettysburg. I think it's good, and I think it's kind of well done. They got the actors back as well,
Oh
most
yeah,
of
I
them, to
love
do
that.
that. I think because then you've got that who's that, and I like how they in this one they show the recruitment, I suppose, aspect of it, like
Hmm.
um of who's going well. um so yeah, I liked it. So we're gonna go for three now. So do
Well,
we
well,
I just
I just
saw
want to say one thing.
yeah.
I don't want to be overly
Mhm,
critical. I do appreciate the care taken with both of those films, with
yeah.
Gettysburg and Gods and Generals, because obviously there are people who they did consult historians, and they did, they didn't just because some of these writers and directors, they don't care to really get any history right, but they did, and they do take great care with some of the weaponry and the costumes. Now there are people out there in my circles, we call them thread counters, who really get on. Well, there were only 8 buttons on this. Well, no, stop. Let's not get too ridiculous, because
Yeah.
there's not going to be any film that is historically accurate. But I do appreciate the care taken, and I agree. I do think these are good films to sit and watch. Um, and we don't
I must
have
say,
to be
going about the
overly
costume
critical.
design, I do like how you get other Civil War movies, and all the Confederates are in grey.
Oh,
I
somehow
hate that. Like, no, they weren't,
no,
and
they
like
weren't.
that, and
They were
it's
all these little brigades from
yeah,
different states that did not
mm,
have common resources. And so they all looked very different. All of them
yeah,
looked
yeah.
different.
Yeah,
And
I must say they did well. I must say on the battle flags on this. Like every time
yeah,
I watch this movie, I pause and have a look. Okay, where's that one from?
battle
Like that,
flags
and
are
actually
awesome.
felt like the battle flags. I think is great. I think they did that so well because you do get them like
Yeah.
charging in and like that, and then you get the things, especially like and I like there's a bit like with the Irish, like that, and you get other parts and you forget. And like, I think there's even is this the one I can't remember if it is this or Gettysburg. I'm not going to go for it where they do. I think it might be this one where they have the um grenadier guard come over officer, don't they, as to have inspect what's going on, and it's like I think it's like to try and get the
Well,
was
in
it yeah
reality, it was the Germans. They would always bring a German to come in. So the one that came in between like between the Gettysburg time and then the Shenandoah campaign was Sigel, Franz Siegel, and he would drill them every freaking day. And he was more interested in drilling than feeding his troops and doing other important things. So yeah, I don't know that that's historically accurate, but they would always bring the Germans in to drill. At, and you'll see in my selection, they also, well, who knows if the person was actually Irish or German or whomever. But yeah, they bring foreigners in to drill. They think for
yeah.
some reason that lends some gravitas to the orders.
No, so we are keeping. I've said I've seen your pick, and this is your pick. I knew you were going to pick this. I was like,
Well,
I
you
said
knew
to
it
Jane, I
because
know
it's the
this is going
better
to be your pick.
film.
And that's it. And it's literally, I will let you go. So it's another American Civil War, and it is.
It's the correct American Civil War film. It's Glory. It is the um, rated by me and my fellow historians when we did a bracket of film versus film. This one comes out on top, and it is my number one all-time war film as well. So this is number one and number one for me, for a lot of reasons. So let's start with the history. This film is based on the actual writings, the actual letters of Robert Gould Shaw, portrayed here by Matthew Broderick, and actually love his performance in this film. He got on my nerves, as an 80s teen actor. Ferris Bueller is okay and but it's like he's playing the same old goofy 80. No, he's fantastic in this film. Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, but I want to talk about the great Andre Braugher. Um, I love Andre Braugher. He played in the best television series ever made, ever, Homicide: Life on the Street, about the Baltimore City Homicide Department, a very underrated but critically acclaimed series by David Chase, the same writer of The Sopranos. Andre Braugher is tremendous. They're all tremendous in this film. This film is the quick rise of Matthew Broderick's character, Robert Gould Shaw, for whom the Shaw neighborhood in Washington, D.C. is named after. So there's a great, vibrant neighborhood called Shaw. It houses the African American Civil War monument is at Shaw, and it's a monument of soldiers, not just of the 54th Massachusetts, but then other soldiers who were later allowed to serve in the Civil War. But this is the story of, I'm going to try to not go into a whole film, not to go into a whole film club review, but it's the story of the first African Americans who were allowed to fight because free blacks were not allowed. It was thought that, well, you can't give free men or freed slaves or runaway slaves, you can't give them guns. You can't trust them. How silly, how ridiculous. Matthew Broderick steps up, part of an abolitionist family in an abolitionist state of Massachusetts, Jay's hometown, and steps up to lead and puts them through their paces. And you watch the somewhat very harsh treatment of these would-be soldiers, but it comes from a place of Matthew Broderick having been through hell and wanting to make sure these soldiers are fully prepared. That's why he's so hard on them. He wants to make sure they can handle it. Well, what was the hell he went through? The film opens, and it gets me every time. The film opens with sweeping shots of two armies amassing and working their way toward each other on a little foggy field. And then you see at the bottom, Antietam Creek, Maryland, September 17th, 1862. It gets me because that's my home battlefield. I am there so frequently. I've been there a million times. I know every inch of that battlefield. My ancestor was in the West Woods. I know exactly where he stood. I knew exactly where his comrades, were. And I know exactly where not the 54th Massachusetts, sorry, the 2nd Massachusetts, which was Broderick's or Shaw's unit during the Battle of Antietam, the bloodiest day still to this day in American history, and what he witnessed on that field. And that scene is shot tremendously. It is so accurate from what we know. What he saw is what was seen, and the African Americans who came past with shovels to quickly bury the dead. It was after this film was made that a tremendous discovery was made in the basement of the New York Public Library, where no one knew until about 5 years ago that there was a burial map for Antietam. and it was just sitting in the basement of a library. It's called the Elliott Map. And because of that map today, like I said, it was just discovered in 2019, I think. Because of the Elliott Map, we know where the soldiers were immediately buried on the field. And at the time, that map was used to disinter them and make sure they got back with their families and their units. But what we know because of that map is because you were buried where you fell. And we know what unit you were in, and we know where you fell. So we know now the exact troop locations for the Battle of Antietam, 100 years and 150 years after the battle, which is a tremendous find. Obviously wasn't available for this film. We don't need to be that accurate, but the troop movements, the battle flags, they got it right. They got the troops in the places where they were for this battle. They got them coming out of the Westwoods through the cornfield. Tremendous historic accuracy. No one else cares who's watching this film, but for historians, watching that part of the film is tremendous. Now, are there pieces that are annoying? Yes. Piece number one that's annoying about Glory. The only real named character in this story is Robert Gould Shaw. We do know who some of the African Americans were in his unit, and we do know which ones were the sergeant majors and the, kind of camp leaders. But the makers of this film chose not to use their real names, and I don't know why. And that's something that is a little bothersome because we do know historically, in the film, you have the Morgan Freeman character, his name is Rawlins, and you have Denzel Washington is Tripp, and you have the Andre Brower character is Thomas Searles. We do have their real names. Why couldn't we use their real names? The other issue that we have, that the question that has been asked and questioned was, well, did Robert Gould Shaw, why did they have to put Frederick Douglass in there? Did he really meet? Yes, he did. So any criticism of Frederick Douglass being at dinner with the Shaw family can be put to rest because he did meet Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Douglass did hang out with the governor of Massachusetts. So there's no reason to question that. The other part of the film that really gets me in the feels, and maybe this is true for a lot of people, is after they've gone through their training, after they've gone through heck, after when they're told that they're not going to be paid the same as the white troops, that they were told they were going to be paid $13 a month, and now they're only get $10. And Matthew Broderick Shaw says, well, if you're not going to get paid, I'm not either. And he tears up his pay. But after that, when they get their uniforms, that gets me in the feels when they hand them and they're like, oh, what's this? And he opens it up, and the soldier with the stutter, and that's played by, he's really good too, Jimmy Kennedy. He plays his name is Jupiter. He was the one asking, when are we going to get uniforms? And he gets a uniform, and it's so good. And if you know the history, you know how this is going to end. The only historical criticism of the assault on Fort Wagner was that they would have been running in the opposite direction. So they had them going, like, what would have been south? If the water was on that side, they would have been running south. They were actually running north. Who cares about that? I think this movie does the battles justice, the history justice. The characters are incredibly well portrayed. The acting is top notch. The story is simple. It's a simple story. It's about one unit in the Civil War that doesn't succeed, but it's told so well, and it's told through so many different characters. It's told through the commanders. It's told through the politicians, and it's told through the soldiers serving in this unit. This is an 8.5 on my, grading list. And for historical accuracy, it's an A-, but that's just for a few little tactical things. So I'll be quiet now. But this is why Glory is my number one Civil War film and my number one in my war film category.
Interesting. I can take this or leave it. I really it's not one of, it wouldn't even make my top 50. I'm really, I like the movie, but if it was on, I would probably change the channel. and I
Mm.
really, I don't know what it is with them. I just find it.
Is it because it's
uh,
such a limited, like,
I
subject, one unit,
No,
one
I just feel it's like when I watch it, it just feels like it's too Hollywood, if that
Ooh,
makes sense.
okay.
Yeah, it just feels like with this, like it, I've like Matthew Broderick. I just is I hate him in this. I really don't
Mm.
like his character. I
He is
think
a posh boy.
yeah,
He's a posh
yeah.
boy, he's a rich boy.
Yeah, I like I think having like Morgan Freeman, everybody loves Morgan Freeman, but I think Denzel being in it, I like to have like a bit kind of, they wanted that kind of known like actors in it, and it was just like it just felt they didn't need it. I think some of the I think it needed a bit more harsh, like in the
Mm.
training,
Mhm.
like getting them up to standard. It was just, it felt, oh, it's a bit easy for these lot, and that was it. And then like it's again, it felt like the bit with the blue, like they get their jackets and they're like, it's told you might not, it's like da-da, it's like a da-da moment, like yeah, with like, it just feels like it's building up to that Hollywood moment. And that's the things, like the good bits, it just feels like it's there for that Hollywood look at, like, like that. It's, yeah, for me, yeah, I would give it a very bland 5. I mean that, yeah. And it's not like
That's
I don't like it.
okay.
I don't like it. Yeah, but I don't, again, you like it because the historical accuracy and all of that. I take it as just the movie. Because I don't know the ins and out of it. I like it. I just don't love it, and I just get, it just feels like, oh, it's a good war movie.
Mhm.
It tells a nice little story. I'm not connected to any of the characters, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, okay.
That is the problem. I just don't feel, when you watch it, like there's good acting, there's some terrible acting, and then I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not invested. I don't feel pulled and dragged into any of them. I just like that, and except for probably the last build up scene to the end is really good.
Mhm.
Like to the, like them running up the, I suppose they're running up the verge, aren't they? Whatever you want to call it, to the fort. It's good, but like, it's something missing. I just like, I've never like leaned to this movie. I don't know what it is. I just, yeah. So
Well,
for
that's
me,
why
yeah.
we're
So
here. That's why we're here to
yeah.
talk about our films because, we
Mm,
all have different perspectives. Now, this did win 3 Oscars.
mhm.
Denzel Washington did win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. It won for Best Sound and Cinematography. And as I'm looking at my list, okay, it's just hitting me. I swear to goodness, every single movie that I have that won an Oscar won for cinematography. I guess that says something about war films, because it's something that you got to get right.
Mm.
It was nominated for a few other ones as well. But fair points. I would watch this film over and over and over again, and then I would start to nitpick it a little bit more. But it's hard to focus on, one unit that was separated from everyone else, I suppose, because they are, until they get into battle and those first few skirmishes where they really excel, um, it is kind of insular. So maybe it does look or feel like they're not being trained harshly enough because you're not seeing the other side. You're not
Yeah.
seeing how, there's other troops as well. Um, but yeah, but this is mine. This is this
Yeah.
is this is a go-to.
That's why
So
that's
we've
why we
had
love a bit of a good.
three American Civil War. Now we're tied with World War II. Just letting you
Okay.
know, the
What's
American
World War
Civil
One? How many we
World
got
War
there? So
One
we had,
has two. We've had All Quiet on the Western Front and Gallipoli.
okay. Then my pick makes it free.
All right, what do you got?
It's weird you pick Glory because this has the name Glory in it, and it's Paths to Glory.
I don't
Uh,
even know this film.
Kurt Douglas,
Never heard
Stanley
of it.
Kubrick.
Seriously.
But this is our second Stanley Kubrick movie.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So a really, like, it's war with also a law, let's say a courtroom drama. So it's a
Really?
bit of both. Yeah. So this is Kirk Douglas is a Colonel Dax, I think he plays. He's a French soldier. And they get ordered, really simple, is to go over the trenches and attack the German lines, and they refuse because it's literally your suicide. It's a suicide attack. They all know it, so they refuse. And then, of course, like it's a great play with Kurt Douglas to the commanders of the unit. He's really strong to it. Like Stanley Kubrick does it really well with the walk. Like he does this scene where it's from the point you see um, um, as it Kurt Douglas walking through the trenches, but you follow him in, so he's following the camera, but through the trenches. It's really good, and everybody else is
Oh,
there,
cool.
and it's like like that dirt mud. It's quite good for, like
Oh,
for
it's
its
black
time.
and
Like
white.
yeah, so it's full black and white movie, and then of course the whole point of it is the kind of you've got to the point of the thing. The commanders want it, like we need to court martial these troop. I want 100 people to court martial. Of course, it gets to the point where Kirk Douglas's character gets them down to 3 random soldiers, random as anything, who will be taken out and shot if they lose this court thing. Lucky enough for them, Colonel Dax, what used to be a criminal lawyer, like that. So then it turns into this like trench warfare, really gritty war movie in the trenches, to this courtroom drama to save these 3 guys' lives. So it's very,
Wow.
it's some things, but the cinematography again is, you feel Stanley Kubrick in this movie. You can see his intelligence of how that director played around with the things. But yeah, if you've not watched this is a great. It's intense, but Kurt Douglas in it is like, he's absolutely amazing in this. I'm not sure if it won any awards. I'm not too sure.
Let's see.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one like what we said.
Nominated for 1 BAFTA. That's it.
One BAFTA. But yeah, 1957. But it you know, Kurt Douglas is great in this. It's very up there. This is like if you actually go like we had All Quiet on the Western Front. This is like the view from the French. This is exactly the same, but like English language. But that having that aspect as well, where you have the courtroom drama of like these kind of like, I suppose it's like, not to disregard the movie and what it's about, but like kind of like Killing a Mockingbird, how that trying to save that the innocent life with that, and these are like pick them 3, that's it, out of like the whole battalion. I'm gonna go with that. And this like one guy's like, no, you're like an arguing the point and getting belittled, but like this kind of really intense Kurt Douglas, like really going into like 100% acting skills, is actually a thing. And like, but again, I'm guessing that is again how Stanley Kubrick likes his like realism in his actors, like that have been, that frustration comes across of like this person, like you cannot send just people to their deaths, over no man's land, 2 machine guns, when that's the only thing that can happen. So yeah, it's the realism of again the trench warfare system, and again like the stupidity of the hierarchy behind them, and then of course the honorable people who are trying to say, you can't do this, like I'm gonna I've got to stick up to these young kids. And like the emotion from the young free soldiers is great, because they like, why me? Like I'm just one of the, but you just unlucky, you were standing on the wrong spot. It could have been any of you. But to get like, you're gonna get the firing squad if you don't. So it's great. This is a good recommend. This is like for intense, like Stanley Kubrick movie thing. So we've had again,
Check it out. This is 2
so
Stanley Kubricks.
this is our first 2. I think he'll probably be in the lead for the director. So now we've got 3 First World War, 3 Second World War, and 3 Civil War. Correct?
We do.
That's the tie at the moment. And
for now.
For now, okay. So we now, okay, yeah. I see your next one. It put a little smile. So I like that. I like this movie. So let me
So
get,
we now World War II goes up another notch.
yeah, another
It is
notch.
because there's more films from World War II. There just is, and this one is a silly film. However, as silly as it is based on true events.
Hmm.
There were a few events that were very similar to this, and this is Kelly's Heroes. Um, this is another one of those comfort food films. When I sit down and do my whole day of film watching for Memorial Day or Veterans Day, this is on the rotation with The Dirty Dozen and one other film every single year. Um, and some of the same actors, Telly Savalas, who was also in The Dirty Dozen, and Donald Sutherland, who was also in The Dirty Dozen, are in this film. Another slate of actors, many of whom have served, but this is led by Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood is playing Kelly. Now, these guys are not in jail, but many of them are petty thieves. They are looking to make a buck, looking to get out of work most of the time, and in capturing a German soldier, they discover a bar of gold, and they're asking him, "Where'd you get the bar of gold?" Where? Well, right before he dies, he tells them there's a bank, and they're hiding 100 and at the I guess $14 million, but today it would be millions and billions. However many bars of gold are in this bank, and you can get there. And you know, Kelly starts to fixate on it, and he's got all these other characters who have skills, and he's got Oddball who's got tanks, and he'll go on and on and on about his tank, but it's not just any tank. It's a tank that's designed to look like a bigger tank than it is. It's some kind of regular old tank, but I think it's a Sherman, but it has an extra long barrel, so it looks like a bigger tank. So the other side is afraid of it. He's very, into his tank. He gets the best lines in the film. What are you doing, oddball? Sipping some wine, eating some cheese. Catching some rays. Um, they put together a plan. It's a heist movie. This is a war movie and a heist movie. They put together a plan. They're going to go after the gold, but it's not that simple, and it's not that silly, because some of their comrades are killed and injured along the way. At the end of the day, 2 of the tanks break down, the other tank breaks down. At the end of the day, they actually have to come and convince the German tank commander, bribe him to actually shoot a hole in the bank of his own bank. They bribe him by telling him what's in the bank, and they're going to cut him a share, and they do. And at the end of the day, the best part is when the Americans find out that this kind of ragtag unit, who are not following any orders, are going off to this town. They think it's because they've pushed further than they were supposed to, and they're kind of proud. So they're trying to also intercept them, and they send more troops, and they're sending troops to help them, not knowing that they're sending troops to help them rob a bank. So it's a total caper film. It's it's just fun. It's just fun and funny. Um, this is a film that did not win any Oscars. It wasn't nominated for any
It's a
awards.
silly, great little
It's
watch, isn't it?
it's
It
only
is
a
fun.
C plus for historic accuracy, because these things did happen. There were a couple of instances where Americans found out. Now, this is not tied to the whole Monuments Men film or activity, where there was a unit, a designated unit in the U.S. Army to recapture the artwork that the Germans had stolen from different art museums, churches, etc. Because they wanted to, eliminate culture in some respects. And that was a unit that went in to try to save priceless works of art. That's not this. These guys are just out to steal for themselves, and they do, and they do at the end, and they divide it all up, and they're off on their merry way with their millions. It's just fun. It's just a fun, well acted, silly movie, and I love it.
I can't argue with that. It literally is. It's literally, you can't not like this movie because it's not historically correct. You like it because it's just silly and it's a bit of you go along with the ride.
You
You are
do.
going through, and they've just set it in World War II. It could be any war.
It
It
could
could
be
be
any
any
war.
war. But they just it's just fun, and it's got some good actors. I like the actors. Like, and I mean that as I like him in other stuff, and you like him in this, and they're just playing a bit of fun. Like the oddball is Donald Sutherland, and then you got the hero, like who's probably the Clint Eastwood is he's just
You got
Clint
Telly
Eastwood.
Savalas,
Yeah.
Carol O'Connor is the general. Gavin McLeod is in this, from television, from Love Boat and all those TV shows, Mary Tyler Moore Show. Don Rickles, the insult comic.
Mhm.
Um, but just an easy, fun movie. You can just kind of watch it brainlessly. Um, if I were ranking the best films, it would probably not be on this list, but as you said, these are my recommendations, and I recommend this film.
That's great. There's not much like it's just the fun. If you want it, like if I went over like and you put Dirty Dozen, I like this movie more. I do than the Dirty
Mhm.
Dozen. I like them both, but I think this is just a bit more of a, like you say, just a caper. It's just a fun little bit of a little bit of little bit of little bit of silly,
It's
a
just
little bit
silly.
silly, and you can watch it. And it's fun. Yeah, that's great. And so my next pick is probably a real life hero. That is the thing, and it's very British, and it has to be done. I served in Her Majesty's Royal Air Force, so I have to have one about the Royal Air Force. I don't know if you've heard of this. Now,
Uh,
this guy,
let's see.
the movie is Kenneth Moore is Reach for the Sky. Have you
I've
ever seen it?
heard I've heard of it, but I have not. Now, was Kenneth Moore, was he the one in Zulu? Who's the guy in Zulu? No, that was
No,
Kenneth Gilbert. Who?
yeah.
No, what was his name?
This was it. No, Kenneth Moore gets mixed up, and I can't remember the guy from The Cruel Sea. There's
Oh,
two of them,
okay.
and they look very similar. But Kenneth Moore was
Okay.
he's one of those ones that gets like he does a lot of in this time period. Did loads of
No.
things.
Okay, so tell me about it.
So this is, as it says on the poster, the story of Douglas Baden. He was an RAF pilot before the Second World War. Served, of course, like that. And he was doing an acrobatic stunt, went wrong, crashed, and had both legs amputated.
Oh my gosh.
So then, of course, that was I want to say 1930s or that. Things, and also he has the same birthday as me. So we looks up and find you can give me birthday dates, but we've done birthday streams, so that's okay.
We
So
know your
yeah,
birthday.
yeah. But so of course you're a pilot. You got to use your feet. If anybody's been and knows how to use the plane, it's not the thing. So he's a fighter pilot, and he rejoins in to Second World War, and he becomes all the way through I suppose you want to call it an ace in the
How?
thing. So yeah,
How's he do it?
with his metal legs,
With his
fake
wow.
legs. So he learns how to refly with fake legs. So he goes in through all the major campaigns the RAF did to the Battle of Britain, and then he retires at the end of the war. And he died. I can't remember when he died in real life. Like it, age 72, 1982. So he went through
Oh,
like
good for
literally
him.
losing his legs, things like that. But this is, it's a very heartwarming story. It tells it a little bit condensed in the movie itself, because it all seems like it's really close to the Second World War, when it was like 10 years a gap between real combat to what actually happened to him. But it's really to show no the struggles of, I suppose, like disability as well, and then the achievement of everybody going, you'll never fly again. And then him like, no, I will, and I will be a fighter pilot, and I will serve my country still. And it's that point of
Oh, what a great story.
that point of like, me losing my legs, and I'm both amputated, ain't gonna stop me getting back up there and actually think. And then Yeah, became a teacher, you know, squadron leader, all that. So yeah, it's a very true hero story of, you know, very British movie, black and white, of course.
Guess
But
who
I
wrote
adored.
guess who wrote the book?
Oh God,
The
you got
same
two
guy
in me.
who wrote The Great Escape,
There you go.
who was also the same guy who wrote The Dam Busters.
Ah,
Paul Brickhill. Paul Brickhill wrote the book.
yeah,
Wow.
there you go. But
So
yeah,
I gotta look up other books by
this,
him. He's got some
yeah,
good ones.
yeah.
Jeez.
But this movie is, uh, this is my favorite RAF one, and this is but this is also probably my favorite British real true. You know, you're gonna talk about people. There's, you know, like there's loads of like movies about a person who achieved
Mhm.
something in the Second World War, but this is literally there's not, you don't need in this movie like the action scenes. You know, like you're not going to get the barrel rolls and all that. You know, like fighters. Left and right, but this is an adorable movie because it's like that, and it shows, you know, the struggle of somebody and then overcoming their disability to, yeah, carry on the fight, you know, and that's it. And then you realize, yeah, it's actually a true story, and the guy just kept on going, and it's like that. And yeah, fought in so many battles, and yeah, like you think it'd be like the Battle of Britain, how much the RAF was against it, and to even come out of that alive was an achievement. But as a RAF pilot, to serve at the start and end it, wow! And then to do that with no legs, it's
That is
literally,
so
yeah, it's
tremendous.
the
I'm
things. But yeah,
I'm gonna look up all the books that Paul
yeah,
Brickell has written because there's
but
so many good stories that he obviously captured so many good
mm,
stories from World
but
War II and having been in, he was one of the captives in The Great
mm,
Escape, and then he went on to write all these other stories after he wrote that. Wow, that's
yeah.
tremendous.
But this is like I there's of course that, and you got Dan Buster's story as well.
And the
But
Dam
like this,
Busters, yeah.
but this story you get taught in the RAF. This is one because it's just showing. Don't give me shit when you think you got cramp, because this
Oh,
guy
yeah,
literally did this, and it makes you
really.
go, oh, okay. You know, you like when you
Yeah,
hear the story, you're like, you know what? If he did it, I can do it, and I'm
I'm fine.
moaning about,
I'm
yeah. So
fine,
yeah,
no problem,
yeah.
I got this.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, that's it. So it just gives you a kick up the arse as well. Like, you like, this guy did what, and he didn't have any legs, and you're moaning, you know, you got to run
mhm.
up a hill or do like whatever. So for me, it's a good RAF story. I had to give an RAF story, so I had to put an RAF one in there. There was a couple that was on the cusp, but I think this is my favorite.
That's a
This is
good
my favorite.
one.
So yeah, very British. And yeah, Reach for the Skies, I highly recommend it. I just because I adore it, I'm gonna give it like it would, just because of certain elements, because you're missing a bit, I would give it a 9, but I'm gonna give it a solid. I would give it a solid 8 all time long. This would be again up there. So yeah, but very British. So I don't think it did well, probably worldwide cinema, because
I
just
don't
it was
I
that
don't
that
know.
time. So, but yeah, I do, yeah. But yeah, he's yeah, it's from just his thing, like just look up the guy. Anybody just look up the guy. Like from Dunkirk to the Battle of France, the Battle of Britain, he was there.
It
Actually, so
won
you like that.
it won the BAFTA for Best British Film
There you go.
in
So
1957, so it was the best film of the year. Wow.
there you go. So yeah, I would guarantee it's one of those, you know, oh, I'm actually interested into the thing. Now, I did see Abe said, what about this movie? And I've just seen your next pick.
We're getting
Uh,
down to the wire here.
we're getting there. So
We're getting
let me
down
just
to
get
the
it up.
wire. So, had to do this one. It is a relatively new film. It is another World War II film, but,
I think World War One, two, sorry, has one. I don't
it's
think we
one.
really
Yeah,
did.
it's up there. We're at 6 now, or 7 now, but it is Saving Private Ryan. I don't think you can talk about war films without, um, giving credit where credit is due, and what Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and others did to make this film, and to make it with such care for the accuracy in how the hell of war is portrayed, and of course, um, in many ways, how the hell of war is portrayed. So, the scene with the typists in a room, and they're typing out the condolence letters, you know, "Dear sir, madam, I am sorry to tell you." And the supervisor is reviewing the girl's typing, and she realizes there are two names that are the same going to the same address. And she takes the two letters into her supervisor, and her supervisor has a folder with another letter in it. And so these are brothers. And this is loosely based or inspired by the story of the Sullivans, and um, the true story that enacted a rule in the United States military whereby um, a family cannot be left with no children left from war. So if you have multiple children enlisted, you can't have the last child in danger. If you know, if in the event they're killed in the, when I'm looking at Private Ryan, I actually was also looking at The Fighting Sullivans, is the film about the Sullivan brothers, all of whom were serving on the same ship that went down. So 5 brothers who were all killed. And there's a film called The Fighting Sullivans, and it shows their life and their ultimate death together. And at the end of the film, their mother and sister are christening a ship called the Sullivans, and it is a ship in the United States Navy called the Sullivans. We also got to look at The Longest Day, right? So, you know, there are a lot of films that hone in on D-Day as well as Band of Brothers. But this film took great care to portray the landing in such a, I wouldn't call it gruesome. Like, I don't think this is not gratuitous violence. It just is. It is the truth of the horror of war, and you're seeing it, and you're seeing those men land, and you're seeing them try to make their way up the beach, and you're seeing them getting cut down and cut to shreds. And you're zooming in on their faces and their legs and their arms, and um, it's tremendous. Um, every part of this film was, you know, obviously meticulously shot and acted. I tend to not like some of the actors in this film, but I think they all did a real tremendous job here. I'm not a Matt Damon fan. I'm just not. And although he is the Private Ryan of the film, um, he, you know, obviously the film centers on the um, the Tom Hanks character more than the Matt Damon character, but I think they all did such a tremendous job. You've got Tom Sizemore, Ed Burns, Vin Diesel's in this film, by the way. If you didn't know, um, Dennis Farina, the great Dennis Farina's in this film. Paul Giamatti's in the film. Um, but I don't think anyone can watch this film and, number one, not appreciate how it was made and why it was made and the story that it told, the care that was taken, the cinematography, um, and the, you know, the overall story. It's hard to find bits, and there are bits and pieces where the acting could be better. There are bits and pieces where, um, you know, maybe small places where it may drag just a tiny bit. But overall, this is number 3. If I were to list my war films in order, this would be number 3. I like the film The Longest Day. I like the film The Fighting Sullivans, but I would take Saving Private Ryan for the best depiction of this part of the war, just behind Band of Brothers.
Nice. I think the opening scene, I feel like the Normandy, the beach, you know, like I think that is probably for modern, I suppose, like for most impactful and more realistic scenes, it has to be one of the greatest scenes of all time. I think it's what up there. It's literally, it's so impactful. I think that scene is, yeah, it's respectful. It's great. You get drawn into what this movie is going to be about. Like a lot of vets go, yeah, that's, they nailed it. It's literally, I can't, I could never like describe it to somebody, but they just did on film. So that is, I think it's very respectful. I think they did it like Spielberg did it really well. For me, that's where the movie ends. For me,
Mm,
I don't like the rest of the movie.
you
I
don't like
think
the
I don't like it. I think it goes, and I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it just goes too American. It
why are we
goes
trying
into
to
this,
save this one guy?
yeah,
I know that's what a
yeah,
lot of
and yeah,
people say that.
and
So
it,
wait a minute. So we're all going to die
yeah,
for this one guy,
yeah.
but like it's about going back to the Sullivan
Mhm.
story. It's about like not wiping out a family, and
Yeah.
that's the piece of
Yeah,
it that's
yeah, I get that story. I mean, it's just American.
yeah.
It makes it
I
like it's
understand.
an America. It makes it feel like it's no other nation was there, literally. And it's
Yeah.
weird because they would have been drawn into centers, and they like, and of course, this lot is going off. This little band, I suppose, is going off and doing the things. It just felt, it just, it's unfortunately, it just felt. It's one of those movies where and you get it. It's just the America won the war on their own, and nobody was else involved, and he just
Nobody else.
feels it on that.
I
And
know.
yeah, and it's just think, and I get what they were trying to do, like with the script, and I get it.
Mhm.
They needed this connective tissue to get a story out of the amazing scene we got. I there's good moments like you just Vin Diesel's like when he gets the sniper moment. I think it's great. I think like
Yeah.
that the guy who gets when he does that hand-to-hand comment, it's really heart-wrenching when he gets stabbed by the German officer. The translator, I hate that. I don't
Oh,
get
yeah.
him. He really annoys me. I think the end bit is it's good. I think it's really emotional how they get Matt Damon's character,
Older.
morphing into the old guy and then
Yeah.
back in like that at the American Norman cemetery. Um, I think that's great. Just there's too much of it that
Mhm.
just is. It's too Hollywood. It's too Americanized, and that's it. It just feels like I'm not being horrible. And I've said this before. It's like when you're raving to your fan, like and things like USA, USA, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
feels
yeah.
like that movie. And I hate to say, it just misses the mark. But I
Yeah.
love moments of it, like the guy who's the sniper. It's
Yeah.
great. I can't remember his name in it. Like that. And I think where this led into Band of Brothers, I think Band of Brothers did it well because it's about a unit.
Right, and
We've
real
got that
people,
one,
like
yeah, real people, that unit, they were there. That's where they were. This one just felt going into it. It just felt where's everybody else? Like there's nobody else there, and they would have come across. It just felt a bit of a mismark. I enjoyed the movie.
mhm.
It loses me. It loses me at points, and I find myself getting bored. And that's you shouldn't get that from a war movie, especially this one is supposed to be this like hunt for Private Ryan.
Mhm.
That's it, and it seems like it's I just I like it. I love those bits. The rest of it, I just yeah, I just it just missed. It just missed for me, and that's the thing because you do when you first watch, you're like, wow, this is great. And then, yeah, when they get the orders to find Private Ryan, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Like that, why are we doing
We're
that?
gonna spend the
Like
whole
that, what we're doing.
time
And then there's their little journey. There's some really interesting moments into it. But otherwise, from that, I will watch the first bit and get drawn into it. I probably won't watch the movie again. That's yeah, and I know it won loads of Oscars and did really well, but for me, yeah,
That's okay.
it's not there. Yeah,
So it
that's
did
it.
win loads of Oscars. It was nominated for 11. It won 5. It won
Mm,
for Best Director, Editing, Sound Effects, and Cinematography. Now, this is one of those trivia questions because Saving Private Ryan is such, at least in America, a highly regarded film, but it
mm,
didn't win the Oscar. And it's one of those trivia questions around all the controversies around certain films winning in a span of years, like when Driving Miss Daisy beat Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that was
mm.
the one that beat Raiders of the Lost Ark. So
What year was this? What year was it released?
this was
898.
1989. So Shakespeare in Love beat
Not
Saving
898. Say Shakespeare in Love. Oh God.
beat Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. So I mean, it's okay. That's an okay film, but come on.
No.
So
Is
the
it
other
who? Oh, what's the British dame who won the
Judy
Oscar?
Dench, who won for 8 minutes of film time. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
that
won the
yeah, something
Oscar.
ridiculous, wasn't it? Everybody's
It was
like, it's the
it was
lowest
gonna
ever.
be the year for Shakespeare in Love because then
Mm,
Gwyneth Paltrow won. They all won, right?
yeah.
It was one of those Harvey Weinstein productions or
Okay.
whatever. But but also in addition to Saving Private Ryan, Elizabeth was that, Kate Blanchett, Elizabeth. That was tremendous too. Like that one of these films should have beaten
Yeah.
Shakespeare in Love. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of like, oh, who got paid off there?
exactly. How did they get paid off there?
There we go. But
For
yeah, I'd say I it's one of those. Yeah, for I don't know if it's Brit, like maybe it is just like maybe other people around the world just don't see it. But like I just did.
maybe.
I love the first bit. Yeah, and that's it. But like Tom Hanks, like yeah, it's he's good. That's it. Everybody's great. Like I don't mind Matt Damon's character. He's a bit of a wet fish in parts, but then they try
Yeah.
to grow him into the character. But then yeah, it's they do the emotional things, but yeah, it's yeah, not for me.
Well,
Not for me. So
that's why
yeah,
we talk about these things.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, but the next
We
one,
have 2 more films left, I think.
I have one. The other thing. So my one, I think we've got the same one.
I think we do too, because we haven't talked about it yet. I think we do too.
Is it? Well, maybe it's not. You never
Well,
know. I adore this movie, Sergeant York.
no, that's on my
No,
okay. But when
it's
I
on your
say
thing.
mine, you're
Oh,
gonna
okay,
say you love it too. I do like
okay.
Sergeant York. It's on my honorable mention list. Yes, yes, yes. Gary Cooper. I do. But it's on my honorable mention list.
Okay,
And I
sorry.
think someone in chat mentioned it too earlier, and
I
I
think
didn't
Daryl
comment
said
on
it's Sergeant York, Sergeant York. I've loved this. I think it's great, and I think it's if anybody hasn't watched it, it's heartwarming and it shows like when the to be a bit brutal, when the shit hits the fan, you've got to do something. So Sergeant York is he's a religious a conscientious, what they call it,
conscientious objector.
that's it.
Kind of like the
But
Hacksaw Ridge,
yeah, but he
situation.
shoots like the things and he does these little moments of like being this great sniper, and he goes through yeah, taking out trenches and like that, and protecting his battalion, or what do you want to call it.
Mhm.
I think it's a great old classic movie. I just like, it's one of those ones I think, and it's based on loosely, the movie is based on a real life Sergeant York. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's very it's of course black and white. I think Gary Cooper is really good in it. It just it's a very perceived, very well done movie. I can say it like that. I just really adore it. It's one of those movies like you just watch it and you adore it. Like it's a very simple story. It's like he doesn't want to have to do it. He gets into the position and he gets called upon, and his skills are he can save lives. He can save the
Mhm.
lives of the men he's with. So I really, really, really enjoy it every time I watch it. It's really, yeah, there you go. Daryl did it. What did I say at the start of the show? Like that.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. I will watch this every
good
time.
one.
Yeah.
Definitely. So this one is 1941,
Mm.
and I just saw the name of the actress, Joan Leslie. So we've seen her in a couple of films. She was in Yankee Doodle Dandy. She's the woman in Yankee. So she's been in a lot of these
Yeah.
kind of war films. Yankee Doodle Dandy. She was in High Sierra. She's in This Is the Army. Yeah, so she's like one of those
Mm.
typical actresses of the time.
It's
The
on the wall.
Sky's the Limit. I haven't seen that one either. But it's a feel good. It's a
Mm.
feel good um and a good
It
one.
is. It's like, yeah.
Just didn't make the top of my list. Oh,
Mm.
Walter Brennan. Let's see. It won 2 Oscars. Let's see what it won
Okay.
Oscars for. It won but it won for Gary Cooper Best Actor,
Okay.
and it won, let's see what else. Oh, it's nominated for 10. It won for best editing. So it was nominated for best picture and it was just nominated for everything, but it won for best editing and best actor for Gary Cooper. So
It is a heartwarming kind of, it starts off, but in a farm town, isn't it? Like they're religious, he's in love, but yeah, the war happens, and yeah, he will do his duty to his country, won't it? But he doesn't want to really fight, but yeah, he can shoot. He's got a talent. Let's say that. Yeah, and I like it. Like, I don't know if that was a thing, the actual real life, the guy did it. He might, like, because it's a weird, like, he does his little scope, doesn't he? Licks so he can get the shine, so he can see where he's aiming better. He does that all the time, doesn't he? So it must come from the real guy. Like, that's what he
it
used to do,
must
didn't he?
be.
Like on the
And
scope. But
Jay's asking if it's on our list. It
it,
is, Jay.
yeah, it
It
has. Yeah,
is.
it is definitely is.
Yep.
I would have put this on. I think this is great. I think this is a very adorable that kind of post
And see, I didn't
war
like
kind of thing.
Hacksaw Ridge. I think that was just kind of ramming it down your throat, the whole
Mm,
conscientious objector, and
mm.
I don't like I don't like Andrew Garfield. I
Don't you?
can't stand him. I can't
Oh,
stand him.
okay.
I can't stand him in Hacksaw. I can't stand him as Spider-Man. I'm sorry to say. I
Oh, I
can't.
don't think I don't mind his actor. I think he's kind of not a nice guy. So like that. So
Toby's my Spider-Man. Nope, I don't.
yeah.
I can't. He's one of those guys. I don't know. He's just got that way about him. That kind of ho hum. I
No,
don't
he's
know.
come back to Hollywood now, hasn't he? So he left because he got pissed off, and he's come back now. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's that, like, but
we'll
yeah,
see.
always think people forget he's British as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, yeah,
Andrew
he's British.
Garfield's British?
Yes,
I had no idea.
he was. Well, his dad was born in LA.
Oh,
He was
okay.
born in LA, but brought up in Surrey, in England. So like,
Okay.
I mean, like literally a month. And so he has a full like English accent. His mum's English. That's it. But yeah, he's a posh. Went to all the posh schools in Surrey. Let's say that. So yeah, but
Yes, Jay,
he,
Toby is Spider-Man. There is only one. There is only one Spider.
I doubt it. My kid thinks he's Spider-Man, so I'm going to go for my kid because I'll get told off.
That's right. I'm sorry. James's kid is Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's
He
it.
is
Yeah.
the real Spider-Man.
He's actually wearing Spider-Man pajamas in bed.
Is
So
he?
I had to go
Oh,
and get some. He had that, and I got his talking Spider-Man tool. So there we go. So yeah, Jay, yeah, fair enough. It has to be. If you want to have a fight with a 3-year-old, it'll win. But yeah, Sergeant York, I think is one of those. It's an adorable one. I think so. I do like it. A good one. A good one.
I
Now
thought
yeah.
this would be I thought you were saving this
Oh,
one for last.
oh,
I
did
had
you?
a
Okay.
feeling hopefully it's on your honorable mention list.
100%. Yeah, this is one of the ones is on the wheel.
It is on the wheel for
The wheel is
sure.
on the wheel. Let me get there.
And it's an absolute classic. Of course it is.
You had to how have you got to Alex Guinness and I did none?
See that? You're not
Yeah,
abiding the Alec
I
Guinness
know. The trend. Oh.
he's the patron saint of this channel, Sir Alec is. But we're of course talking about the bridge on the River Kwai. And this is another David Lean. So
Oh, is it?
I didn't do
Okay.
this on purpose, but I had 2 David Leans on my list, in Dr. Zhivago and Bridge on the River Kwai. And then we've also, well, how did we must have chatted about Lawrence of Arabia. Oh, when I did biography, I think I probably put it in there because like, how do we talk about Lawrence of Arabia? Because we haven't watched it for Film Club yet. So David Lean, again, let's see, when I go to my Oscar list, is cinematography there? Of course it is. This is an amazingly shot film. It's a good story. This is a good story. It is based on units that were, forced to build railroad bridges in World War II, the prisoner of war camps that were, forced to build. And this story, though, the prisoners are already thinking, well, we don't want to really build the we want to sabotage the bridge. Of course we do. We don't want to help our enemy here. Um, but Alec Guinness has this pride, and I think the original bridge wasn't built correctly, or maybe in the wrong place, and he decides, well, if he's going to build a bridge, he's going to build it right, even if it's for the enemy. But he's also going to use it as motivation for the men, like to have a task to do every day, every day, every day is going to give you motivation, keep your spirits up. You're going to be able to survive through being a prisoner of war. Um, Now, William Holden is the American. The Americans have been a little, they've obviously been down. The British came into this camp whistling their tune, whistling Colonel Bogey's March, and I can't whistle, so I can't do it. I honestly can't whistle, but you'd know it if you heard it. Um, the Throughout the film, the Americans are off plotting to take down this bridge, and they're going to. And so at one point, the bridge is built. The Alec Guinness character, that's Nicholson, Colonel Nicholson, he's quite proud of the bridge. Um, we talked earlier when we talked about Gallipoli and the tides. I think that's what happened here. The tides went out, revealing that the Americans were wiring the bridge because they knew that a train was going to come over with, I guess, was it some kind of political official or military officials? And they were going to blow up this bridge at the point in time when the train went over. Well, the tide went out, it revealed the wires, but the train is coming, and it all culminates at the end. Well, who's going to hit the detonator? And there's a fight, and at the very end, Colonel Nicholson, what does he flop on the detonator or something? At the very end,
Yeah, just kind of
the
goes on
bridge
to it.
blows up. But the whole story is it's about like it's about the character of these leaders, again, with men who are in brutal circumstances in a prisoner of war camp. And what are you going to do to keep them motivated, to keep their spirits up? We're going to build a bridge, but you're helping the enemy by building a bridge. And it's a real interesting question. But it's also shot amazingly. What I don't like about the film is there's a couple of different scenes where like Holden goes to another place and he ends up in a relationship with a woman. Like the women don't belong in this film. This is not a film where we don't need a love story in this film. It's not really a love story, but we don't need a love story in this film. What we need to continue to see is more of the William Holden character and the Alec Guinness character and their men. And also huge kudos to the um, Colonel Saito, played by Sasui Hayakawa. This actor, an
Okay.
early pioneer Asian American actor who was nominated for an Oscar and didn't win. Um, and because this is Asian American History Month in the United States and on our IMDb channel, it actually gave a little history of him when I pulled up this film on IMDb, and a really great actor and a really great story. And kudos to him for what I think is a really good performance there. Um, the film is based on a book by Pierre Boulle, not for a specific incident, but for similar incidents where there were men building bridges over the River Kwai. Little liberties taken with the depiction of um, Colonel Nicholson and Holden's character, who was Shears. It was nominated for 8 Oscars and it won 7. So it won Best Picture for 1957, Best Actor for Sir Alec, Best Director, Best Writing, Cinematography, Editing, and Score. And as I mentioned, Sasui was nominated for Best Supporting Actor but did not win. And there was quite a bit of discrimination going on in Hollywood. There was also a female Asian American actor a few years prior who had had some tremendous performances. And when she was nominated, it was a big deal, but she didn't win. And so there could have been some of that there because he really did have a good performance and was honored just to be nominated. But I love this film. This would have been like number 6 or 7 on my list. I would definitely give it a 7.5. It is it's in my go-to list for a lot of reasons. I love the characters, I like the story, I like the way it was shot, and I like the score and the music. What say you, James? Was this on your honorable mention
This is
list?
yeah. There's reasons it didn't make the list, and I'll give you the reasons, and I will give them now. Okay, if I gave this a movie, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah,
Mhm.
but for historical, it's an F,
Mm,
and it's F because it's quite disrespectful,
'cause there's
and
no
it might even
Americans.
go. No, it's
No.
because of the character Alex Guinness plays, and I can't remember. Daryl will find out the real name actor. Sorry, the real life
Mm.
person that he portrays, because he makes him out like
Was
a
he not that way? They makes him
he
like an
is not that way.
egomaniac a little
So,
bit. Yeah.
uh, my girlfriend's family served in the same camp that
Ooh.
this happened and died of malaria years later.
Oh, wow.
His name was Rafe. He literally served at that camp in Thailand, where the general was. So he did did the bridge. Um, it wasn't as it was in historical terms.
Yeah.
That the scene that you get where Alex Guinness goes into, takes it for his men.
Mhm.
That is actually true. That is actually true.
Mm.
And the guy took it for 3 months every day so they
Oh,
wouldn't
wow.
harm his men. So the real life general, his amazing story of he took it because the Japanese with the officers and all that was different, but he literally nearly died, so they wouldn't hurt
Mm.
his men. His story is so heroic. Like,
Oh, wow.
they were forced to do these bridges, and literally they were tortured to do them. So to like, I get in this movie, and I love the movie where Alex Guinness's character is kind of gets obsessed with the bridge.
Yeah.
That's the way like things, and of course they had to change all the names is because there was so much. I didn't know this until later. I found out reading into it is there was so much uproar of how disrespectful it was. So
Mhm.
nobody gave the rights to the
To use their
use
likeness
it.
in
The
the
British,
mhm.
the army and all that. This kind of went no. It's so disrespectful to
Mm.
this guy. He like did so much, and like the vets and all that coming off like the thing. So like the real life, they the Singapore, where most of they came from, then they went to do these camps. I adored the movie. Yeah, I can now look at it back. I really enjoyed the movie. But yeah,
Mhm.
again, where you go, oh, it's a bit disrespectful when you kind of go,
Quite.
they kind of, yeah, they go to like, yeah, like this
Now, were there Americans there or
villainized.
no?
No, none at all.
No, of course
None at
not.
all.
I thought
None
that's why
at
you were
all.
gonna
None
say
at all.
yeah, because there were no
No, none at
Americans
all. But
there.
I can understand they wanted that link. Yeah, the bits where he goes off and comes back. Yeah, you're not going to do that, are you?
No.
Yeah, things. But yeah, the bridge network was also what they did was highly reliable for the Allies if they ever got them. So
Mm.
they wouldn't bringing them up. Yeah, is things. But yeah, I can't remember the real guy's name, but the true story of this guy who the Alec Guinness the actual person who did it is so like wow, what he did just to get make sure his men got through the next day was unbelievable, like self-sacrifice. Yeah, so it's worth a thing. But these what they did, like, and I don't think they really show it in the movie really at all, is they moved them like 20 miles a day, like, and some of them didn't have any like shoes, like there
Yeah.
was no water supply. That's why a lot of them like things like died of malaria.
Mhm.
Like they just didn't feed them. They like, yep, you bridge to the next bridge, and they were like that, and they did it so like they wouldn't know where that they actually I was Daryl. You'll say, I'm going to Daryl. There you go. So like, that's the real guy's name. Look him up. Absolutely, that one of the
Lieutenant
stories you like.
Colonel Tusi.
Yeah, absolutely. His story is absolutely amazing. Like that, ju- just taking it, and everybody like all like the um the vets and all that people who served like in who survived, they just like without him they wouldn't be alive. They wouldn't have like had alive, come back, had kids, grandkids and all that. They literally owe him, and it's like that. So I can see where the disrespect thing, but for a movie, it's brilliant. It's a classic. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like that. So yeah, it's an honorable mention. It's a prisoner of war camp movie, isn't it? Really, like set in the Second World War, because it doesn't really show where they come from, because they just line them up, don't they? Really, things. But like, yeah, the understated is the Japanese actors in it. They don't get recognition. It's like that, It's
absolutely.
It's things. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's one of those ones that always just sit out there, and they're just good, aren't they? So yeah.
It's a good watch. Well, that's our list, but I bet you've got a lot of honorable mentions that we haven't touched on.
I will have to have a look again. So now, let's do it. Like, I don't know how many I got my list down quite a lot. So let me go. Like, I did have. Where is it? Whoa, I got my little spreadsheet. Now, one of my things, I like the movie, but it's one of those ones. My honorable mentions. These ones, like, I don't watch all the time, and they're great movies. Like Das Boot was an honorable mention.
I've never seen Das Boot.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it.
It's good, but it's one of those ones. It's really good, and it's but I would watch it probably every 5 years. So it's just like it wasn't in there. Casualties of War, I like it. It's on our list, but it just is not one of the top. Vietnam War. When you got like The Longest Day, I like it. I like it.
I like it.
Things, yeah. That's it. Aces High, about the Royal Flying Corps. Andy McDowell. Not Andy McDowell. What's his name? Oh, McDowell.
Roddy McDowell? Roddy.
That's it. Roddy McDowell. It's not the thing. That's on there. The Chinese City of Life and Death, about the Chinese and Japanese invasion.
Oh,
that's on there. One. It's quite a modern one. It's quite good. Battle of Britain. But not the greatest.
I thought that was going to be on your list.
But it was right down. I remember. Now I can't remember that this one is. I can't know how to pronounce this, so I'm going to butcher it because it's a Japanese movie about medieval things, and it's based on a period of time. But it's from King Lear. They did
Ran.
it like things like.
It's Ran.
No, not Ran. It's called Kagadamish.
Oh,
that's the best one to like. But then you got Ran as well.
Ran is based on King Lear. Yeah,
they both are.
That's King on Lear. My honorable mention.
Yeah, Ran is on there. Dam Busters, Downfall, and I was like, that's more of a biography, but it's a great. It's a great one. 1917. That was the one.
Yeah, Peter Jackson.
That is great. Yeah. So that's it. Emperor of the Sun, but it's kind of okay. It's not really war. I wouldn't say it's more of a William Dafoe and Christian. Batman. What is his name?
Bale.
Christian Bale. That's it. Thank you. That's on. I did put an honorable mention, but I did have it in a different category. Is Last of the Mohicans. Kind of got a war element onto it, so it's based around the things.
Yeah.
So things. Heroes of Telemark.
I don't know that one.
That's another Kirk Douglas one. That's quite interesting. When I served with a guy who tried to reenact it. What it is I can't remember how many people they crossed over this get to Norway. This is in Norway to get to one of the nuclear research plants that the Nazis were doing, and they had to go over this like frozen wasteland, and most of them died getting there and getting back. But they managed to storm up this mountain face, what the Germans didn't protect, because nobody would be nutty enough to do it. So there was, I can't remember like how many started. Like it was something like 30 started and 5 got back.
Oh wow!
Most of them just froze to death getting there. So that was, you think that was Second World War uniform and equipment, and they tried to do it in modern equipment, and nobody could do it.
Oh wow!
So they did, and I was like, well, it's got to be adrenaline and all that. So, but the story of that is amazing. So it's good. It's a good movie, but it's another thing. And then my other honorable mention is one of your picks was All Quiet on the Western Front, the 1930s version.
Nice.
So I'm gonna now stop the poll because I think Second World War
I think
definitely
so.
won, and it won our poll as well. What was your honourable
There's
mentions
just
then?
more there are just more Second World War films. So let's see. So, Ran was on
Mhm.
mine. We talked about Band of Brothers, and I did throw in some series here. So, I looked long and hard for a film on the American Revolution, and there's really not a good one. But the Don Adams television series, PBS series, was tremendous, and it really does go to the heart of the revolution all the way to really to the War of 1812. So that's a must watch. Um, North and South, the television series.
What
That's
I
just some
mentioned
good
earlier.
Civil War fun. Yeah, it's just some good
Book 1
some
and 2, as they call it, book 1 and 2, don't they? Book 1 and 2 is
yeah,
great. Book 3, it's
yeah,
not that
it's
great,
North
but
and South,
no, I
Heaven
love
and
that. They are
Hell.
great, yeah.
North and South, something, something, Heaven and Hell. I
Mm,
have all 3 of them sitting around here
mm.
somewhere.
Yeah, so
Now
I've forgotten them.
I also
They're
no, not
you
sorry.
cannot find them anywhere. They do not show them on TV anymore.
No,
So, yeah,
because
if you
they're
d yeah.
they're horribly inappropriate. They're in a it's like, can you find like, is it historically accurate? Then you can portray the bad stuff. Well, kinda no, because it's really over dramatized. It's just a soap opera. It's essentially a
It is,
Civil
I
War
love
soap
it.
opera,
I
but
I
it's
do
great.
like it. And Patrick
It's
Swayze
great.
is really good on it, bless his
Patrick
soul, in
Swayze,
like that. He's
Jonathan
like, yeah.
Jonathan Frakes is in it.
Mm,
Oh my god.
yeah.
So then I started looking, I was trying to cover like more wars. I was looking, okay, what do we do for War of 1812? So there's not an 1812 film,
Well,
but
there is, but it isn't, is it? Because there is
Master and
one, and
Commander.
it's Master and Commanders,
Master
but
and
they
Commander is a
changed it in
great film.
French. Yeah, but they changed it in the
I
because they didn't
know.
wanna you can't fight the Americans.
You can't. You
So
can't.
they changed it, like, to be a
No, but
French
Master and
version, didn't
Commander
they?
is a good
I
film.
like
That's
that,
a
I
really
like that.
good
It's
one.
I love it
Um,
because it makes you feel British. That movie makes you feel British. It makes you feel, "Oh, yes, I'm British," and it's an
yeah.
Australian as the lead actor.
It's great.
So
It's
it's great.
great. No,
I do like
he's really
it.
good. Um, so but what I did find is there is a film that it was actually locally made here by my local public television station. But you can find it on Amazon, and it is The War of 1812 on the Chesapeake, Home of the Brave. It's a great film. It's more of a kind of a documentary interspersed with, you know, um, reenactments and things. It's fantastic if you wanna learn about the War of 1812. We've already talked about in our biography section, Lincoln.
Mm.
It's and we debated like, okay, or I debated, is this about the Civil War? It's about Lincoln, but it's about Lincoln during just the years of the Civil War. So it could be both. Um, but a great film. The Last Samurai. Did you think about The Last Samurai? Oh, Patriot.
Oh, no, I can't put it on there. I
No,
just I
it is
I
one
just
little it is
yeah,
based on a true guy that went over and taught,
yeah.
taught
It's just
weapons, weapons mechanics and how to
yeah,
use modern weapons.
It's a Tom Cruise
It's Tom Cruise.
biography.
Yeah.
I like the movie, but it's just so out
To
there.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Tom
Um,
2 Cruise, yeah, about, "Yay, look at me," and it's just when he was in with Hollywood and he got into
I
it. I like
know.
yes, yeah, it's yeah.
Another
Um,
another 2 from my biography section was, Yankee Doodle Dandy,
mhm.
which, is the story of George M. Cohan, who was really, our patriot in chief in between the 2 wars. And then, I
Well,
can't
I'm sure it's that's on the wheel, isn't it? That has to be on.
it's
I
on
saw
the
that
wheel.
because we both
We both
had that as
picked
well.
it.
Mm.
And then, we've already mentioned Sir Ken when we talked about Dunkirk, but, I can't go a day without mentioning Henry V. It is a war film. It is the Battle of Agincourt, and Christian Bale is in it. Christian Bale's the boy who gets slaughtered.
Oh,
And
yeah.
lastly, but not leastly, when talking about television series, we've said it many times today, Blackadder goes forth for World War One. I highly recommend. Now, did you make a list of the most awful
Oh,
depictions
there
of
but
war in film?
if I had to just go by battles and war, Braveheart, but, Patriot and Napoleon.
Napoleon? What about Pearl Harbor?
There's
Horrendous.
Pearl Harbor's bad, yeah, I'll give you that. Pearl
Very
Harbor's
bad.
bad.
And then
Um,
every depiction of Les Miserables on film is
yeah.
terrible. I hate I love it in the theater. I
Mm.
hate it on on screen.
Yeah. And there's a couple of, I can't remember which version. There are a couple of really bad Midway movies.
Oh my God, they're all
There's a
bad.
couple of there's a lot out there. You're like they're terrible.
You know what else is
So
bad?
yeah,
Tora is bad.
yeah.
It's horrible. And it's funny
When you
because,
have
like,
like ones that like you got ones that are okay, you know, like Clint Eastwood did a couple of, didn't he? Like the different, what's it, the Flags of My Father, and then he did one, I can't remember what was the other one called, the Japanese one that he did on the
oh,
other,
I
like
don't remember.
I can't
I
remember.
don't
They're
remember.
okay. They're
Yeah,
okay, but you never go back and watch them. They're just okay ones.
yeah.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor sucks. Yeah, that is.
And my last one on that list, my Vietnam movie that goes on that list is Born on the 4th of July. I hate that film. And talk
I
about
don't
Tom
mind it.
Cruise,
I
I
think
hate that film.
okay. Yeah, there's things like that. But then you got other ones like Hamburger Hill is underrated. I think that's a good one. Like you
It's
say,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
okay.
yeah, I think that shows. But you got some really dark ones. You got some, and you like as soon as you go into it, you got some weird ones that you can go, oh, I like that movie, but nobody's ever heard of it. You go,
No.
what is going on? So you got things, but yeah, like TV shows, like can't be like we go Napoleonic, and somebody come up there. There's nobody
Sharp.
good.
Sharp.
That is it. Sharp. That is it. Don't have to watch a movie. Sharp is
Sean
it.
Bean just got some
Yeah,
stuff.
but like,
Yes, yes.
yeah, like Waterloo is not a great movie, really. Napoleon, the latest one, not.
That was
That was terrible.
horrible. That was
That
just
was yeah,
terrible. It was the
like
birth of
it's
film club, but it's
yeah,
terrible. It
yeah,
really
it was
was.
really bad.
We thought we
But
would
yeah,
talk for like a half an hour. We talked for 4 hours on a weekday. That was a weekday too. That was
because we were both angry because we both said, "Oh, we're looking forward to this."
we wanted
It
to
would
see
come
it,
out,
and I saw it
I'm
like
like,
2 days before you, and I was just and I think I told you, like, my husband, he's like, "Oh, how long is this movie?" And I was like, I think it's close to 3 but, you know, he wanted to go with me. I said, "You're gonna hate it, you're gonna hate it." He's like, no, I'm going." Film ends, he goes, "That was a great movie." I was like, "Oh, geez, what is wrong with you?" Like, I'm re-questioning my life choices here. You liked Napoleon.
oh, that was
Yeah, it
At
was bad.
least my girlfriend came out and said I didn't like it. Because we're like, yay! Oh no, what crap was
No.
that?
Well,
But
here's
yeah,
what's really depressing. So when I was in Philadelphia last weekend and I did my little live stream and I was kind of finishing up, but I was in front of a movie theater and I said, "Oh, let's look and see what's playing." I did not recognize one name of any film that was in that theater at that time. And I think AWOL and I think Daryl, I think a few people here were like when I was live streaming, I didn't recognize there was nothing to look forward to. I think someone said they knew The Accountant 2.
oh yeah.
I didn't even know there was an
I actually
Accountant
watched
1.
I watched the account, the first one the other day because I was like, oh, I was like, apparently it's okay, and I mean, now I watched it and I was like, oh, it's okay. So how
Ugh,
that I don't get how that
how
got
did it get a
another.
2?
Yeah, I just like, yeah, it's you watch it, you're gonna forget it. It's not, yeah, there's really very strange, but
It was like
I,
the
mm,
funeral planner or something. I don't know. It was
mm,
just nothing interesting. And I know the Thunderbolts is that I'm not watching that. I'm
no,
probably not going to see the Fantastic Four now because I was really excited about it, but now I'm going to be upset. I am going to see Superman. I'm not going to see Jurassic, whatever, Jurassic garbage. Um, so I think the only thing I'll be seeing this entire summer is Superman. I can't think of anything else I want to see. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Anything you can think of?
Fantastic Four intrigued me, but
Mm,
I won't go to cinema. But
mm,
now what's coming out, I things. For Superman, I probably will go and see.
yeah, I think you should.
And just now, some of the things that the directors and producers are coming out, I mean, it seems like that's going to be like a shit show.
I
So that's going to
know.
be. I'm like, oh, but it's one of those ones. I'm not being. I mean, to be honest, I've not been the biggest Superman comic fan. I do like Superman the movie,
Yes.
and it's on our list. But
Well,
yeah, but the rest, like, I've I can go on that. Like, I'm not going to go on the bandwagon that Henry Cavill should be the only Superman. I think he did it well. The stories are crap around him, but he looks like Superman. But this guy looks like Superman.
yeah,
But
doesn't
so
matter.
far, what we've seen, it could be the first 30 seconds of the movie, and then it's something completely different. Um,
Yeah.
there's certain parts of elements that are coming out. If that's true, I'm like, oh, I don't know, like he's trying to make it back into a weird Guardians of the Galaxy funny. We'll see. But I think that will kill his franchises if that has to come out as a win, and I mean
They
a
need a
massive
10-year
win.
break if this doesn't work. It's just like
Yeah.
Doctor Who, they need a 10-year break.
Oh, that
And
needs to stop for a while, doesn't it? Yeah.
last weekend, I guess, was some anniversary of Superman. I'm hoping it was only like 30, but I'm guessing it was maybe 40 years from the Superman the movie,
Mm.
probably. And the Warner Brother YouTube channel, for being as horrible as Warner Brothers is for like striking videos. I hear that they're really bad. They were running all of the Superman movies on a loop all last weekend for
Did
free.
they? I didn't know. Oh.
And I dipped in and out of several of the Superman movies, and they were great. It was great.
What's the third and like what's that one with the that one always used to scare me. Is that the
What's
one
the
with
one with
they
Richard Pryor?
yeah, the one Richard Pryor, and then they eat that kind of woman in that, like make her like cybernetics. That when I
Yeah.
was a kid, that scared the crap out of me. Oh, like even now, it was on TV and it got to that bit, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk out
Oh,
because I'm like, it still freaks me out.
you
It
were
just brings
impacted.
me back as that little kid going, no, not gonna do it. Now I'm like, yeah, in my 40s, I'm gonna walk out still. I'm doing it.
It's a good song, but we need to like rank our
Yeah.
movie theme songs, and that would
Oh.
come like, okay, Raiders for me, Raiders of the Lost Ark is number 1, and it always will be.
Oh,
Jurassic Park will
really?
always be number
Okay.
2. I think Superman will be number 3 because I love that theme. That is a
Yeah.
great theme.
Yeah. If you go by iconic themes, yeah, they're like the
I mean, for
recognizable.
you,
Yeah.
Star Wars has to be number 1, I'm sure.
Uh, yeah, yeah, it would have to be, yeah. But then you like Superman's up there, like you can't
Yeah,
beat that. Like yeah, it's just those iconic ones, aren't they? Like
there's some good ones.
most people you just gotta like whistle or hum the first 5 seconds they know what it is.
Yep, exactly.
That's it, yeah. Uh,
It's so good.
but
It's so good.
yeah,
Well,
but
this was fun. We knew it
yeah.
wasn't gonna be wow, 3 and a half
Well,
hours.
just for everybody, just the things I'm just gonna we're gonna recap in reverse order.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
that's we're gonna reverse.
Nice.
So of course, your pick, Bridge on the River Kwai. My pick, Sergeant York. Then your pick, we know which picks. Saving Private Ryan. Then Reach for the Sky. Then Kelly's Heroes, Paths of Glory, Glory,
Glory.
Glory, Gods in General, Doctor Zhivago, Gettysburg, MASH, Gallipoli, Full Metal Jacket, Dunkirk, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Charge of the Light Brigade, The Dirty Dozen, and A Bridge Too Far, where it all kicked off. There you go. So, how many was that? Like, I think we only had two, didn't we?
2, Full Metal Jacket, 2 in a row, Dunkirk and Full
Mm,
Metal Jacket.
There you go. So, we only actually had two. So, I got it completely wrong. I thought we would have more, but we had a lot more on the honorable that would have gone on things like that. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, this has been like in the making because I've been lax and I haven't got there. So, but yeah, I'm gonna things like because I get my next one for me for the recommendation bit is sci-fi, and that is been a
Ooh, I'm looking
nightmare for
forward
me
to that.
because I'm a bit of a sci-fi geek. I don't know why. So
I
my
hope
honorable
Logan's
mention.
Run is on there. Do you
Uh,
like
they're
Logan's
on
Run?
about they're on about remaking it, aren't they?
They're on about remaking everything, and I'm
Yeah.
just disgusted, like, because the rumors about Battlestar Galactica keep coming and going, and I'm just
Yeah,
done
but
with it.
it's same as Babylon 5. They keep on saying they're going to remake that, don't
No,
they? When they never things,
just
but
watch it, it's so good. Everyone
yeah, but like Battlestar, like that TV series, unless they're going to make a revamp movie, the revamped TV series, that's not that old, is it? Really? What
it's
is it now?
not
Like 15 years?
1994. No, it's
Is it
fine,
now? Yeah,
like, leave it
but yeah,
alone, it's okay, it's
yeah,
great, it's different, it honors the original, and aren't those the remakes we love, right? The
yeah.
remakes that honor the original,
Doo
and
doo. Was it doo doo? Sorry, I was going
do
doo
do
doo
do do
doo doo
do.
doo.
Do 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 do. 'Cause someone had that on their phone, like, I knew someone years ago that had that on their phone, do 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 do, and I'm like, "What is that?" But the ones that honor the original material is, and I can't think of it. I'm sure there are other series and movies out there that do that, but Battlestar did it extraordinarily well. But don't redo it again. They only want to do these redos because they have no original thought. Now,
If you
Abe,
did it, you could add to that story though. You could add to that story.
well, the problem is, here's
But
the
just don't
problem.
make it the Galactic, like the ship.
Yeah,
Just
I
make it
mean,
something different.
you could do
Just
it
like
from a
that.
different
Yeah.
angle because there were
Yeah.
other parts of the fleet, right? You could
Mm,
maybe do it from the perspective of another part of the fleet, or maybe, well, there was the origin story, Caprica. I loved that.
mm,
I really liked Caprica too, like, which underlying Battlestar, even the original series, was always a religious theme, right? It's kind of the push and pull between cultures that are monotheistic and
mm.
cultures that have, are polytheistic. And the Cylons, who were created by man, turned monotheistic. They evolved faster than the humankind did. Um, so they did that origin story, which is good. Now, Abe brings up a really good point. Yes, Battlestar Galactica reboot makes sense. I knew what you meant even before you put the quote, because yes, because Battlestar Galactica is retelling the same story that's going to continue to happen throughout eternity, is that man is going to create, just like we're doing now with AI, man is going to create technology that makes it easier to be a man, to be human, and then that technology is going to take over and leave man helpless. Same as the time machine, right? We read it in the time machine. They had become so advanced, they got so lazy, they didn't have to work, and they
And they go
forgot how to do.
and another great theme that goes on for the Terminator. Do 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 do.
Yes.
There we go.
And Battlestar is dun, 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 da, 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 da. I actually used the theme from Battlestar Galactica in a class with my Girl Scouts. It was so crazy. We were doing this thing on a badge on music, kind of an advanced one too, and it was about how movie themes, how the longer movie themes um kind of incorporate, like, you can see the story. So if you listen to, like, the original Star Wars theme, you can hear, you know, ships flying and whatever. Anyway, Battlestar Galactica, for me, that theme, it's a technically it's a march, which is supposed to be hopeful, but it's in a minor key. So there's hope, but there's dread. And that's kind of the whole battle. Sorry, I'm going way into Battlestar lore here. It's hopeful, but there's always dread, because they're running, but they don't know what they're running toward. They're running from something, but they don't really have a home to run toward. Anyway, good story. And Abe, yes, we will have to talk about Battlestar Galactica sometime. But
There you
other
go.
reboots, no. Like,
Yeah. See, when we do film club, we get there, we have to do a TV special. Keep saying that.
we have to do the
We
TV
have to get that
special.
because Jay's going to be screwed because we're getting to watch some good TV.
I know. We've got to do that, and we've got to do the films we love to hate, like our guilty pleasures.
Yes, indeed, yes. But yeah, this has been fun. We nearly went on to a Battlestar Galactica special then. So there
Sorry,
we go.
yeah, I go on a rant. There are some things. As I look at my Galactica model on the other side of my office here.
But yeah, but I hope everybody has enjoyed a little Our War special, and hopefully we'll be back to the normal schedule. So we're relying on Jay, so we're like that. But if not, me and Sandy will come up with things. If not, we might run solo. But for next week, what was the week go? It is Whiplash still. We're not doing the wheel without Jay, of course. So Whiplash is the next movie review that we're doing, and then Sandy's pick is League of Their Own. Yeah, so it's look at that. So there we go. Woo! Great show. Good thing you guys got rid of that crappy Boston. Well, yeah,
Jay, we miss your accent.
Yeah. That's why I keep getting bloody Boston Red Sox keep on coming up on TV. Can't get rid of him.
Yeah, how come you're getting you're not getting the Orioles? Trust me, they're too.
No, they were on, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, so it was okay. So, but they keep playing Boston live. I don't know why. Anyway, the Orioles
because they do. I told you we play 162 games a year.
But
There's a
I'd say
lot of
I
games.
don't want to see like Orioles because they lost like 24. What was it? What was that?
24-2. Oh, it was horrible. It was awful. I stopped watching when it was 24. There was
I did
still
look up. I went, "Is that the
half an inning
worst
left.
ever?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was
No,
like the yeah." So I was like, "Wow, there's been some
nope, not the
spankers."
worst
Let's say
ever.
that.
Not even the
Yeah.
worst ever for the Orioles. I think we had
No,
one
that was like the third in their
36.
franchise, second or third. I
Yeah.
can't remember. Yeah, I was like, "Wow, there's something worse." I was like,
It was
"That's
yeah,
embarrassing."
we were in the 30s once. It was crazy.
Oh, that's it. But
When we're
yeah,
good, we're
it's.
really good. When we're bad, we're really bad. Just
I
just
was like,
phoning
"What
it
did
in.
they do? Just throw it underarm to the camera?" Something. I was like, "How does that even happen?"
I
Like
don't
that.
even
So,
know. I don't
oh.
even know. It's always pitching. Our team in perpetuity is in want of a good pitcher.
Mm.
Always.
That was bad though.
Well, we
Even
missed you,
though I
Jay.
knew that was bad.
So
Yeah.
glad you could join by
Yes. Thank you for
watching.
jumping in. But I hope everything is well your end. So yeah, it's yeah, and you're not getting too much. Not you're getting some sleep. Let's say that the beginning is wonderful, and you get to see some weird and wonderful stuff. Either end sometimes.
More weird. More weird than wonderful sometimes.
But everything. But
Wait till they
yes.
get their first good sneeze. Oh
No, that's it.
my word.
Yeah. There's some
Sneezes
things.
can go projectile, Jay. Just just careful. I know you wear glasses just like I do. It's great eye protection for those moments.
Oh, yeah, very, very, very nice. But yeah, enjoy for the next couple of years. That's it. Oh, the sneezes are adorable
Oh,
so far. See, another good
yeah,
one. That's it. Oh, but yeah, everybody, I hope you've had a great one. This has been a little bit of fun. I really enjoyed like the thing is, as I said, it was so annoying getting that list. That's it, and then
it
remembering
was.
films and then going, no, oh, that can't go on, and then squeezing some out, putting stuff in. But yeah, it's been good. So I hope everybody has enjoyed a little film club war movie special. And then, yeah, hopefully very, very we'll be back to normality with, hey, back where best Boston accent I can say. Hey. But everybody have a great rest of the your
That was a
weekend.
terrible Boston
Of
accent.
course, I know it was terrible. It was
You gotta
terrible.
say, "Park your
Um,
car." Where'd you
back what?
park your car?
Park your car. I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. That's it. But everybody in the UK, remember, you can stay up late as much as you can because you've got a day off
Oh,
tomorrow.
we
Don't go to
know.
work because you'll be there
Eh,
on your own. Bank holiday in England. Yes. Very, very nice for wings. But yeah, Sandy, I'm guessing you're going back to work. Just
going
rub
back
it
to
in there.
work. Yep, 4:30
Yeah.
AM, my start
Yeah.
time.
And anybody, if you've missed Abe and you miss Abe, he will be playing Conan, or he's still playing it right now. You can guarantee he will be on that server, at least booting it
I
up
know.
as we speak. He's get a bit addicted now. Let's say that to it. So that's it. He keeps on saying for me to keep on going in because and see the ladies. Let's say like what? Yeah, I don't want to see what he's built his mods to now. But everybody have a great one. For myself, I'm going to be probably playing Oblivion or Skyrim. That's it. I know Sandy probably wants to play Elden Ring at one point, but yeah, we're getting to it. But Sandy, what else you got going on? You gonna do more walks, and
Work
talks?
is incredibly busy right now. So
Okay.
yeah, I did a little walk today in the torrential rain. Oh my God. And my stream is in two parts today. Um, so hopefully next week we'll get some sunshine in, but I'm continuing to go through um some areas of Washington and I'll hit Virginia, but I've got so much video to edit. I'll be in this
Nice.
office editing for quite a while. So I'll be watching all of you guys gaming while I'm editing.
Nice indeed. Yeah, so until then, we will see you in the next stream. Go and sub to Jay. Go on sub to Jay.
Goes
That's
up
all
to
I gotta
Jay.
say. Don't gotta say to Jay. It would be nice like that.
Watch
So
some
yeah.
of his old videos. Watch those
Yeah, that's it.
shorts every day. Get him some watch hours going. I don't
Yeah,
think he
because
needs
as he
them.
can't do
I
it. Hold
think,
it whilst we're here.
he's a
Should,
professional,
yeah, that's
YouTuber.
it. Yeah. But everybody have a great one, and we'll see you in the next stream and the next film club very, very soon. Have a great one, and bye for now.